All right. Welcome everyone. I hope you're all having a great day, wherever or whenever you happen to be. Today we have the fated tier list stream. So this one, I think, I tend to do run roughly every year at this point. I think some things have changed. I think some things haven't. But yeah, this was a sub goal, and Twitch somehow thought I had 10 sub points at some point, so we decided to do it. And yeah, here we go. Hey Alias, good to see you. How you doing? Are you ready? Are you ready for the FGC classic, the tier list? No, you're not. Well, we'll see. You're gonna have it anyway. Hey Tost, good to see you as always. Hope you're having a good day. Well, at least maybe we'll have some fun, even if your day isn't going so well. But yeah. But yeah, we'll start in a second. Hey Doge, good to see you. Welcome as always. Yes, it is the tier list stream. Daylight savings. Did I actually give the wrong time? I need to check. What is the time GMT at the moment? No, I did give the right time. But yeah, I thought daylight savings was over for most people. Interesting. Anyway, well, the people who are here, and we'll see if we get some more people soon. But this is going to be an interesting one. I've changed the setup, so let me know if the music's okay and the audio's coming right and there's no like doubled music or anything. But yeah, we'll get into it in a second. But yeah, this is a long time coming. I have a lot of opinions, as people know. So yeah, we're going to do our best to try and let everyone know what those opinions are and how things have shaken out over the year, reflecting on some of the results and so on and so forth. So I guess we will just jump right into it. So what I'm going to do is get rid of that background music, and we're going to get a special. We're going to tune into Blue Archive Radio, Shale Radio. Let me know if the music's a decent volume. But anyway, so this is an interesting one, so we'll start with this first slide. Let me get the slide controls up, just so I can use a fancy laser pointer. I'm a cat, I love laser pointers. So, it's me, Aura. Hello. You should know me by now, but if you don't, I am a Labrys player, and I have been playing this game for a very long time. So these slides, I made them last year, and this stream is meant to be sort of an update from last year. I will have done most of my explanations of all of my thoughts last year, so please do give that stream a look if you want to get like the deep dive. This year I'm going to focus more on the changes and what's happened, but I will still try and sort of give the basics of why I think what I think. But yeah, so all of this is basically an update from last year. I've changed bits here and there. I've made notes of what's changed and how. And yeah, just going on this first slide. So I am, for some reason, quite a controversial figure, although that's mostly only in the US community, which kind of tells you what you need to know, to be honest. And I won't go into the details, but I stand for the values of being kind and respecting each other, and there are some people who don't seem to enjoy that, especially when people stick up for themselves. So I'll let you come to me and talk to me about it if you're curious. It is a Persona tier list, Markamus. Good to see you, by the way. We're about to go straight into it, and I'm going to start the same way I did last year, which is doing a little bit about me, because I think context is important in these things. So first, it's me, Aura. Hello. Waifu tier list. That will come eventually. I think that's the 15 tier goal, 15 sub goal. So if you want to see that, drop the prime sub on me, and maybe that'll happen one day. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, I am Aura. It's me. I am a cat. I am British, unfortunately. I know. It's terrible. Censored, exactly. But no, I mean, it's a nice place to be, for the most part, before Brexit at the very least. But yeah, I like cats. I did the cat reveal a while ago. And I think this is a nice body to inhabit, so there you go. Even got my glasses, which I do have in real life, and yet can't see overhead. So that's partially because of my eyesight. I play mostly through sound rather than sight. I mean, I obviously can see, and like my sight isn't awful. I'm not legally blind or anything, but I tend to rely on things other than seeing. So I do struggle with overheads from time to time. Maybe that's because I'm old. But anyway, yeah, that's me. That's pretty much all you need to know. But yeah. Here is some background on other fighting games that I've played, just for reference. So again, I've gone through this last year, but sort of the first fighting game I've ever played was Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Two mains there, sort of Lucas for multiplayer and Lucario for single player. Didn't really shape much about how I approach fighting games. Both of them have decent normals, but so does everyone in Smash. Did play a little bit of Blaze Blue, both Chrono Phantasma and Central Fiction. I did play BB Tag, yes, for like pretty much the first season only, and I think when they dropped Labrys. I think they didn't drop Labrys immediately, so once that happened, I played Labrys Ruby, which I was really just playing Labrys. Playing Labrys neutral. They didn't really give us some good moves, and I wasn't playing the meta at the time, so I didn't really take it seriously, but I had some fun with it. Did play Type Lumina for a short while as well, a couple months. Played Kohaku, just because she had cat ears at some point. Yeah, that's right, Smon. Labrys was DLC. So I didn't play on release, I think, until Labrys got released. But yeah, once my main was in the game, I jumped on it for a bit, but that was, I think, the era of Gordo. And yeah, that wasn't fun to deal with, but it's whatever. It was a game. I had some fun with it. It was nice to see some representation. But yeah, Type Lumina was an interesting one. I sort of played again in Season 1 where Shield ran rampant, so again, didn't have too much fun with it just because of the amount of RPS, but Alias, you picked up BB Tag so you could play both your mains. Ah, nice. Very nice. Who's your Blaze Blue main? I'd be interested to hear. But yeah, other than that, I've also... Actually, you might have seen recently, I've been playing some Grand Blue again, but... Celica, very nice, good choice. Yeah, I play Anila in Grand Blue. And I got to S++ rank, which is one below Master. The main reason I dropped that game was 2B on release was absolutely broken and a hard counter to Anila. So not something I enjoyed, and I dropped it for a bit, and I've been picking up a little bit lately, but after the 2.0 patch, we'll see if I play some more. But yeah, that game has an interesting relationship with DLC characters. That was not fun. Anyway, but I mean, yeah, it's a fun game to mess around with. Sheep damage was very good. They have nerfed like 236U on Anila, which was sad that I found out, but we'll see if we play some more of that. But yeah, that is the rundown of fighting games that I played, and yeah, here are some other games that I played at high level. So I was a master / grandmaster at Heroes of the Storm, which is a MOBA like League, if you don't know. Mainly played both healers and DPS. Healer DPS flex really. I was kind of bad at tank, but I could in a pinch play one or two of the tanks. But yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. I played that a lot during university, I mean. Also played a little bit of Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, which is a real-time strategy, slightly lesser known, but has a somewhat faithful community to it. Haven't played in a long time though. I played Cybran, like doing lots of rushdown strategies. Maybe that's where my rushdown roots came from. But yeah, and Final Fantasy XIV. I was a yeah, the FGC retirement home. This is true. Although again, I played it almost not before I played fighting games, but me when you went to school at uni. Yeah. Final Fantasy XIV. So I am a Savage Raider, which is like the second highest or second most difficult level of raiding that you can do in that game. There is Ultimate after that, but that was never something I was interested in. You can see my character there. I am a cat in every universe where I'm allowed to be a cat. So there we go. And you can see I have some gold and purple passes. Basically means I was very near the top of my class in the fights that I actually did. Haven't done Savage raiding in a tier or two, but I'm still keep up with things, and I like to think that I could get back into it if I wanted to. But yeah, those are the high level games that I played. And I'm pretty diverse in what I played as well. You can see a lot of stuff there. I did play crew battles in Black Ops 2 for a very short period of time. That wasn't amazing. My aim isn't great. Play Apex for a while. I got to Platinum in Apex. I can't even remember what tier I got to in Overwatch, to be honest with you. I played it decent amount on release. Code Vein, yes. Code Vein is the Souls-like that I have played. And yeah, I wasn't a big Overwatch player, but unfortunately I did play Overwatch. But yeah, I did try and highlight all of the cool games that I'm proud of playing on here. So yeah, we have Hearthstone, we have Magic, and we have Yu-Gi-Oh! So I played all of the card games. Outer Worlds is a game of a generation, I agree. It is amazing. Hey Hero, good to see you by the way. Nice to see you here. Hope you're having a good day. Yeah, Ace Combat, big series. If you haven't played an Ace Combat game, play Ace Combat. Code Vein is the Souls-like that I have played. I have not played any other Souls-likes, but I thought I'd play the most anime one, because why not? I think I even played like as a cosplay Labrys with an axe. It was fun. Monster Hunter, we all love Monster Hunter. Yakuza, of course. You're listening to Blue Archive music right now. Hopefully, I think the music should be at a decent level. Stray, nice cat game. Rhythm games as well. I am a musician. So Crypt of the Necrodancer. I did actually recently purchase Rift of the Necrodancer. That might be a stream game during some downtime. But yeah, very diverse gamer. I like to think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to video games and balance and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's that. Yes, I am a musician. I am a grade 8 pianist with the associated board in the UK. And yeah, took music exams up until like I was 15, 16. So yeah, there we go. Have I played FNF? That Five Nights at Freddy's? You're gonna have to remind me, because if so, no, I don't play horror games. I'm a scaredy cat, as you can see. But yeah, there we go. That's game stuff. Friday Night Funkin', no, I didn't play it. It looked a little bit rough when it first released, so I sort of didn't touch it. Yeah, Necrodancer games are tough, I agree. But that's kind of the fun of it, you get to push yourself. Anyway, Persona. So again, I discussed this last year, but I have been playing since vanilla, so that's mid-2013, I guess. So we're over 10 years now. Wow, it's been a long time. When I first picked up the game, I picked up Narukami because he was in the training mode, but then during the challenges, I found Labrys' challenges to feel really nice, and I thought, hey, I can actually play this character. And that was pretty much the deal being done. And yeah, I don't regret it at all. After playing the story, I was like, yes, I definitely like this character. And that's what we did. We have played Labrys. Most of the time in vanilla, I only played with the EU community. There was no rollback back then, so there wasn't much of a choice. You couldn't really play with NA. And yeah, Saber has been a training partner since the very beginning. We have had literally thousands of matches. So that's why I know the S.Aigis matchup well. And I honestly don't think it's as bad as some people say, but Hero makes it scary, and so does D-Star, Saber. I'll refer to him as Saber. And yeah, it just has been my favorite fighting game since. I just think there's so many nice things about it. The movement is so freeing. Most of the time, if you know what's coming, you get to punish them. It rewards both patience, it rewards knowledge of the game, knowledge of the characters, knowledge of your combos. It's so complex. Air turn is incredible. I think somebody did a video on air turn alone, but it is a really good mechanic. I think the blocking and instant blocking is done well. I think burst is an excellent mechanic. I think frenzy is an awful mechanic. But yeah, burst is a really nice resource. Everything feels great. Everything sounds great as well. Like, one of the reasons I didn't like BB Tag is I think the sound design in BB Tag just felt so flat, but in Persona, every hit feels correct and like all of the sounds are good. Like you can pretty much play blind if you want to. That's how much information you get just from noise alone. I don't get how people play this game muted. Makes no sense to me. But yeah, I just kind of like everything about this fighting game. Yeah, just there's no impact on UB tag, I agree. P5A will have ground turn. I don't think we need ground turn. I think roll is a decent mechanic as well. I like how it sort of it allows you to get around some of the larger persona attacks. Yeah, I just think it's a really well designed game. I think the proration system, which I did a video on, is excellent. It means you don't just do the same combo over and over again, and like knowing how the combo system works rewards you, and you can do some really funky things. And it's not just the same combo over and over again to do your optimals. There's no like, the thing I don't like about Grand Blue is the combo limit, where it just sort of drops the combo for no reason. Well, not a good reason. Just an arbitrary point. So yeah, I think it's a really fun game, and that's why I'm still playing it. And it's got better over time. Like vanilla definitely had its flaws. There was problems with it. Like there was characters with nearly unbeatable Oki with Chie and Yosuke and Yu. The balance was wild. I mean, even Labrys had some really strong stuff. Like her 2B only had 20 frames of recovery, so you could just sort of spam it and no one could ever get in. That was a useful one in the S.Aigis matchup. But yeah, the EU community as well was S.Aigis, was Saber, Mitsuru, Yosuke, and Liz. None of those guys sadly play the game anymore, but they played a little bit when the remake was released. But yeah, now it is mostly just me and Saber. But yeah, it's a really fun game, and same with Ultimax. I actually picked up the JP release because it released first, and was the Labrys main. I did have a slight pocket Minazuki, but so did everyone. That character was so easy to play in 1.1. But yeah, he's actually a bit harder to play now, but I think a little bit stronger to make up for it. So that's that. I no longer play Minazuki. I don't have a sub at the moment. I don't really play quite enough to try and pick up a second character. I'm really just trying to focus on Labrys. And yeah, I did play on and off. So during my 3 years at university, I didn't play the game really. But I mostly still played with the EU community. Again, rollback is only a thing in Remake, so we couldn't really play outside of that. And yeah, also had some show experience, but not too much, to be honest. And then we finally got to Remake, which is when I properly picked up the game and tried to take it seriously, because, well, now I can play it on PC, and I think it's a game where, well, it's a version where Labrys actually gets to play against most of the cast. Like, it is her strongest version, even though she'd actually see multiple nerfs between Ultimax and Remake. Well, 1.1 and 2.5. Which is weird. Why did they nerf one of the weakest characters? But I get why they did some of them. I get why the character's scary. But yeah, I have fun with this version. You can do stuff. It's cool. Yeah, and if you want to know what sort of Labrys player I am, I have many games on Labrys on PC alone. I am a relatively aggressive player. I do like going in that sort of demanded by the character, just because you are punished for not going in and not swinging. So it's sort of inevitable. But that's kind of who I am in most games anyway. You don't get many matchups where you can sit back and throw out orbs. When you do get them, I do try, but old habits die hard, I guess. Yeah, that's me on offense. I am quite opportunistic. I do try and get out on defense if I can, so if you want to beat me, just meet me every time. It'll take you far, especially against Labrys. So if you want some advice on beating me, just meaty, you'll be fine. But yeah, I do try and use my options. I do like to OS a lot, the up back grab. I do like to backdash. I think lots of people don't backdash very often. I do like to backdash. It's a nice option. Gold burst is something that I feel like I kind of pioneered as a defensive option. It's one of Labrys's only defensive options, and it's better than people thought. It can be done on frame 1, and it is +2, and well, it doesn't use all of your burst gauge. So if you're going to knock someone away and risk a reversal, you may as well, right? But yeah, that's why I like it, and why one of the reasons I play normal. Yeah, I'm not great at reacting to visuals just because eyesight and not the best reaction times, but with audio cues, like I can react to, if you don't know that, when Ken sends his dog in from out of the screen, he has to call the dog, and there's an audio cue for that, and I can pretty much 2B Koromaru every time. So that sort of thing I'm used to reacting to. Yeah, as Hiro said, I do enjoy reading habits. I'm glad Hiro agrees. Thank you very much for that. And I do try and adjust accordingly. The way I tend to fight people is I will quickly fish for all of your habits and any bad habits and relentlessly try and exploit them until you fix it. Just because that's kind of how Labrys works. She doesn't really have ways of opening you up, so the best thing to do is exploit any weaknesses as a player that the opponent has and then just continue to do that until they're dead, pretty much. I am quite methodical in the way that I go about matchups. Well, I can read the flow of a match. If I can't figure out a consistent way to go in, I will usually struggle a little bit, so it's not the best against some top tiers where you need to really react on the fly to things. But I do my best to try and figure out a proper game plan before I go in. And you know, I'm a somewhat top player, so I can hold my own even if things do go slightly off script. But yeah, that's what it is. I did win a couple of tournaments as well. I've won PFC number 6, where Hiro came second. It was a very close match. Actually, no, that one wasn't close, but Hiro has got a lot better now at the matchup and just at the game as well. And yet the Swiss portion of the Chris charity tournament, I also won alongside with Kyo and Saber, actually. That was a triple robo victory. That was very nice. But yeah, that is me. Yeah, instant overheads like Mitsuru's instant. Well, instant overheads are technically unblockable. So yeah, not much you can do about that, unfortunately. But I'd say in terms of reaction times, I can react to 20, 23, 24 frames, normally 24 and above. I could say I can reliably react to if I'm ready for it. But anyway. I am a Labrys main. This affects my opinions for obvious reasons. Labrys herself doesn't actually have that many good tools in isolation, but she is a decent baseline character. She has good normals. She has decent-ish movement. It's not great for actually moving you, but it is good for using your attacks with it. And if you know exactly what your opponent's going to do, she is very good at killing your opponent for being predictable. So yeah, I know how to run a game plan. I run the Labrys set play pretty well. But yeah, that's what I'm good at doing. Labrys does struggle against zoners for obvious reasons. And that might mean that I might be a little bit harsh in my, well, I might value zoning as a tool a little bit higher than others, just because when I fight a zoner and just getting around what they have is difficult for me. And yeah, defensive tools as well, like Labrys has to get up close and personal and put her body on the line to present a threat, which means defensive tools, reversals are really good against her. So maybe I value those a lot. And yeah, her defensive tools are also pretty weak. They tend to only work against people who do slow long range hits. So people who have really good close range tools, good 5As, good, what's the word I'm looking for? Like 5A, 2A pressure. Why is that word just gone from my head at the moment? Yeah, that sort of pressure anyway. I do probably value that a little bit higher than others. Stagger, that's it. Thanks, Hiro. You're the GOAT as well. Anyway, yeah, so that's roughly what will color my opinions. So again, going over this tier list split, I don't like letters. I think they're arbitrary. I think we can do better than that. So I've split it into these tiers, which kind of are self-explanatory, but I'll give them a quick rundown. Untouchable basically means If you want to win, you should be playing these characters. You have no excuse to not play these characters if the only thing you care about is winning. And they are the baseline around which the meta exists, because if you cannot face these characters consistently, you have no chance. So that's these characters, and they are basically strong for various reasons, mostly because they present threats without having to take risks themselves. You're going to know who that is very soon. I think it's pretty obvious. But yeah, that's the Untouchable tier, basically the strongest tier, and honestly broken. I think some of these characters definitely go into the range of, if this game was actually competitive, they would need an emergency patch and or be banned in tournament. So that's the Untouchable tier. Competitive tier is basically, you can play these characters happily, you have a decent chance of winning. If you lose, it is most of the time going to be partially because of what you did, unless you're facing one of the Untouchable characters. You don't really have an issue, effectively, with playing the game. You have a lot of interesting tools that can deal with other characters in the competitive tier, decent frame data, decent ways of going about the game, interesting things you can do to open people up, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's competitive tier. Strong but outclassed, I feel these characters are okay. Again, most of the time they can hold their own, but not really someone you want to be playing if you have a version in the competitive tier, or you want to let the character do some of the work for you. It is sort of, as you go down, it's more you're doing the work than the character's doing the work. Yeah, I mean, this game is still decently balanced. Just as a note, I think this game is relatively well balanced. I think everyone can be played and can be had fun with. It's just the reality of taking a tournament consistently shifts as you go down the list, in my opinion. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, strong but outclassed basically means you'll have a decent time with it, but you might run into some issues in some matchups. Can be made to work is a more extreme example of that, where you're kind of fighting against your own character almost. You don't really have the tools to deal with a lot of the competitive or the Untouchable tier. And I think a lot of the time, most of your wins will be due to you severely outplaying your opponent. But it can be done. I don't think it's impossible. I think really good knowledge can get these characters to work. And finally, the will struggle tier, which is even with that knowledge, even without playing, you might find that this game is going to be very difficult for you to take wins consistently. And just because you don't have the tools or the answers that you need, or the frame data to really open people up, or even exist in neutral in some cases. But yeah, that is the quick rundown. And as part of this tier list as well, I have rated all the characters in certain sections. This has partially influenced where they exist on the list, just when I was thinking about it. There are 5 categories. Defense mostly goes for the reversal options the character has, including what buttons they have available. So for example, Liz 2B is one of the best mash buttons in the game. So even if her DP isn't as threatening, she still has some amazing defensive options just through that button alone. It beats so many things that it's actually really hard to open her up and play around that button. So yeah, neutral supers, DPs, buttons that you can press, even movement as well. Movement is important. If you have a good jump out, then that helps your defense. Neutral basically covers how good are you at controlling the screen when neither player is attacking the other directly. What buttons can you put out there? Do you have good projectiles that can control the screen? Do your buttons put out threats without putting too much of a risk to yourself? That sort of thing. Yeah, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Pressure is all about both set play, and I've included set play in the pressure category. So if you see some interesting characters there, for example, I think Margaret's pressure in the classical sense of what you can do once you're in a block string isn't amazing, but her actual set play when she knocks you down and her Oki game is amazing. So I'll give her a high pressure rating. That sort of thing. So yeah, both traditional pressure and Oki and set play are under the pressure category. The conversion category is all about damage and how good are you at converting the hits that you normally get into damage. And remember, that means the hits that you will happen to get in neutral. So not Labrys charge to be fatal, for example. That doesn't count because you're never going to hit that. But yeah, that sort of thing. So there are some characters definitely who can get very big hits, just not very often it actually happens. And tooling is the sort of how good are you at dealing with the rest of the field. This is more of a subjective category where I sort of put my feelings here. How good are these characters at dealing with the untouchable tier? Spoilers, Yukari and Shadow Naoto and Shadow Ken. That sort of thing. So, for example, Shadow Labrys has a decent time of Yukari. I don't think an amazing time of Yukari, but it helps. And just, yeah, how good are your tools at dealing with the field, effectively? Are you missing anything in that regard? And yeah, the scores actually go from 1 to 12, but I put it in a letter grading system as well, just so it's easier to grade. But yeah, there we go. I think Yukari might be in her own tier. Well, you have to see, Thun. Good to see you, by the way. How you doing? But yeah, we'll get straight into the Untouchable tier. Can we guess who's going to be first in the Untouchable tier? There's actually 2 options here, and it has actually changed. You're doing good? Good to hear. Well, here we go. It's Yukari. I don't think I need to explain why Yukari is good, but I'm going to do it anyway. She basically ruins the nature of risk-reward in the game. The amount of damage she gets from not having to commit to anything is ridiculous. Basically confirming a full screen projectile into full corner carry. Basically all of her combos have full corner carry into decent damage, into some of the best Oki in the game. Really good air movement, really good ground movement. Pretty much every tool that you would want in a character. She's missing a few things, but yeah, it is just ridiculous what she has. There's a few of her ridiculous moves here. This is her Junpei. It is 6 frames, which is one of the fastest Junpeis in the game. It has 15 active frames. It has a great hitbox. It also full confirms into most things. Like, why? Like, this on any other character would be absolutely obscene. But she has so many more obscene things that it doesn't, like, it's not even on most people's radar. That's how ridiculous this move is. Jumpsy is also, like, that's the problem. All of her kit is insane. And maybe I haven't included it here, but yeah, that convertibility, I think that hero is saying is the biggest issue. Yeah, every arrow leading to almost 5k is ridiculous with meter, but yeah, full corner carry into 3.5 or more for most hits. One of the best users of OMB in the game, just because I think one of the main issues is that the proration on her attacks and the SMP values have just not been set correctly at all. It honestly wouldn't be hugely difficult to fix some of the damage just by fixing the SMP values. Yeah, excellent air stalls, excellent air to ground attacks, excellent ground to air attacks. The air orbs basically meaning you get to attack people from any angle as long as you fire into your orbs. Yeah, it's all just ridiculous. I mean, yeah, we can think about maybe having an official mod, but there would have to be some decisions made about that sort of thing. Yeah, Yukari is never losing. I mean, she has, like, the lowest category I've given her here is defense. So she has a really good DP, and the main reason her DP is good is it moves her, so it's really difficult to punish. She also has an excellent super cancel off of it, which can be dealt with by some characters. Some characters can low profile the super, but not everyone can. But she does also have slightly low health. Yeah, she's a decent character at RPSing as well, especially with her movement and threats. Like, if you jump away, which you need to do to bait the DP, she now suddenly gets out for free. So, with excellent movement, with excellent air attacks. So, yeah, the character's good. That super is ridiculous. We don't even need to talk about it. Yeah, there's just so many good things about this character that it's basically you don't play the game. You don't get to play against this character. But yeah, the low health is the only, like, slightly off thing, but that's, like, 8.5k is enough when you basically always win neutral, so it's okay. The reason, so you can see here there's an arrow as well. So last year I had Shadow first. Now, my reason for moving normal up is more a reflection on what I think Flood's managed to achieve with the character. So Flood, to those who don't know, is probably the world's best, or tied best. Tied best Yukaris, and I think there is, when you have an average damage that high, there is no reason to introduce any inconsistencies in the character. If you just want to be consistent, you pick normal, because you get, well, A, she's actually one of the best users of OMB just because of how her paration works. And B, like, having the defensive burst and not losing your damage because of it. Like, why even risk going to Shadow? Yeah, I think the differences between Shadow and normal, I think, is often personal preference. And having the extra health can help her, but I mean, so does Awakening, right? And she has, I think Yukari has decent self-awakening properties. And honestly, I don't think you even need to have Garrett. So like, Shadow also having permanent access to Garrulea is nice, but there's not really any need for it. Yeah. You don't get rewarded for losing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, loss of access to Awakening is true. Like, Blue Burst into Garrulea is one of the killer aspects of normal Yukari. I agree. I mean, Shadow can do that, and they have so much meter that it might happen anyway, but it's guaranteed on normal. So why take the risk of it not happening sometimes when you can just basically always have it happen? But yeah, I think that's the main deal, and the reason I've moved her up, because just on reflection, I don't think you need to play Shadow, so just take the consistent character, in my opinion. But yeah, that's that. Yeah, well, this isn't a surprise. This is Shadow. Yeah, Shadow conversions probably are better, but I guess my point is, if you look at the previous one, I already have the conversion bar maxed. Like, if it's already maxed, you don't really need to care much more about doing more damage, but and like, most of Yukari's combos are unburstable for the majority of it anyway. So if your combo is mostly unburstable, the fact that you're in Frenzy doesn't even help you that much. So just why even bother? Just play normal. But yeah, normal's, the point is, normal's so good. Just take the consistency, in my opinion. I think you're still golden playing either of these characters, but yeah, in my opinion, if you're gonna play this game just to win, play normal Yukari. That is my advice to anyone who just wants to win. Yeah, that's those two characters. Shadow Naoto is here as well. Shadow Naoto is in the same position as before. I think the issue with Shadow Naoto is her balance was balanced around her only having raid while in Awakening. And that's kind of fair enough. The buff to raid, where it takes 2 fake counters, basically makes her a two tap machine. And always having access to that is just unfun, especially when you're Shadow and you can get meter out of nowhere, especially if you're Naoto and you can pretty much turn anything into an auto combo bonus. And the meter gain is just so ridiculous. You can basically see that this is, put it in the conversion here again, basically. She is also one of the highest damage characters in the game. And it also includes while at full range, just because all of her stuff can be converted into both raid and the Fate supers as well, Hama and Mudo. It's ridiculous. She does also have good normals. It's not on the level of Yukari, but her jump C is one of the best jump Cs in the game. It's this one here. It is 12 frames. It is a high as well. It just goes really far and it's really active. It just does a lot. Shadow Naoto didn't get beat by S.Ken. She might be top 1. Interesting take. I mean, we've seen a lot of Flood and Karma. In my opinion, and this is just subjective here, I think Karma still has a little bit of a ways to go to really like play at the top level. I think they are very good and they are probably one of the best Shadow Naoto pilots out there. But I think they could do even better. So I'd be interested to see what happens if they tighten up their gameplay even more. I mean, they're certainly able to beat me at this point, but They have lost to people at times, but I think they shouldn't be losing to. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this character is just ridiculous. Good frame data on most things as well. Her 2C is absolutely ridiculous. How much range that thing covers for how quick it is, and how hard it is to punish. But yeah, I think character just has a lot of good stuff and just uses the shadow mechanics really, really well. All of the special cancels work really well. Basically the double, like you can do triple double fangs, you can do loads of spamming the poison attack when in frenzy. Just uses shadow to the best of its capabilities, like everything you'd want a shadow character to be able to do, Naoto can do. Basically confirms any bullet hit into pretty much full damage or sets your fate to 0. So yeah, just, and the meter gain bonus uses really well. Basically, I think can gain 50 SP from most starters. So yeah, is one of the best abusers of shadow mechanics in the game, basically. And yeah, no change from last year. I think it's just really good. Not much to be said there. I suppose yeah, this is one of the other factors as well. Like most characters in the game, if you manage to move around their ranged option, you can at least get in. With Shadow Naoto, if she shoots in the wrong direction and you manage to jump over an A shot, then she just changes to a B or a C shot. You don't even get to punish it. The DP is good as well. For some reason, it's a counter where you can back out of the counter. It's not the best in the game, but it's just really good. It makes safe jumping really hard, and not like the punish isn't consistent because you can just backdash out and you can't really react to it. But yeah, it's really difficult to deal with. It's annoying, effectively, as you said. There are some other shadows that are notable, like Shadow Yukiko, Shadow Ken, Shadow Chie, but I think the most consistent abuser of shadow mechanics is Shadow Naoto, for sure. But yeah, and just sort of does everything well, in my opinion. Has good buttons everywhere. The 5D being able to turn around is absolutely annoying as well. Like, why did that buff happen? Basically a winner of all the buffs, but also just strong in general. But yeah, that's Shadow Naoto. Not much more to be said there. Here's Shadow Ken. Shadow Ken. Yeah, again, just really strong rewards for how little risk he has to take. All the risk happens in the dog, and killing the dog doesn't help you win the game. And killing the dog is actually very risky for most characters. He breaks most of the mechanics in the game. So for example, Ken can I see this a lot, round start roll into dog attack, and you cannot hit Ken during that time. You're not close enough for a grab, and the dog can hit you, and it's his turn. He can jump in with some of his really good air normals. For example, this jump B is actually really good. This jump A has excellent stuff. And you cannot anti-air him because the dog is there. You cannot bait his... Like, when he is blocking, he can just down back and spam dog attack. And if you back off him from half a second, the dog attacks you, he is safe, and then it's his turn. Like, this character is just not built for this game. It is absolutely broken. And it's just unfair. He has slightly slower normals at close range, but he for some reason also has 2 of the best reversal supers in the game. 7 frame reversals. One hits behind him, one hits really far. Both of them are really hard to punish. Yeah, for some reason he has 2 of them. And both of them, well, one of them works from super. Oh, sorry, not from super, from DP. And they can both be 1 more cancelled for some reason. Yeah. It's silly. I don't know why. I don't know why they gave him that. It feels like a lot of the newer characters have been given some ridiculous tools. He also has really good flowcharts and set plays, so he basically gets the 4-way Mixu when he gets a knockdown in the middle of the screen with the dog, and the Junpei into 2-way because he gets multiple Junpei. I don't like, so like if there was one thing I'd remove from this game, it's the ability to cancel Junpei into Junpei. I think it's silly. I think it leads to ridiculous mix-ups that are really hard to block. I would just remove it if I had my way, but that's something else. He is just one of the multiple characters that uses it really well, and I think it's silly that he gets to do that. Why do you just get to quadruple overhead someone for pressing one button over and over? And yeah, Shadow, he also uses really well. So he builds meter ridiculously fast. He gets to chain supers. Not many characters get to chain supers, and all of his supers happen really quickly, so he just gets to spam supers over and over again. Including from, like, even from DP, I think he gets like 4-ish K from Frenzy. Maybe 5K, I think. Yeah, I think Gold is probably one of the premier Ken players. I've not seen them play in a high-level tournament in a while, but I think we have EB Storm, who's starting to play a little bit more, and it is pretty good at abusing those mechanics. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we get more Kens in the future. We have quite a few new beginner players. We'll see who these players pick up. It's nice to see that community is still going strong, and we're getting people picking up the game and enjoying it. I do wish they wouldn't pick any of the Untouchable tier, but you can't blame them. If they want to win on the character select screen, they are more than welcome to. So yeah, this character is just really good. Not much more to be said about that. Again, one of the weaker... I put slightly lower on defense. It's still really high, but I think slower normals and the range on the DP isn't great. Is this all the Untouchable tier? Yes, it is. This is all of the Untouchable tier. So yeah, that's basically it in my opinion in terms of I absolutely want to win, and the meta really revolves around you being able to beat these characters. I think there are definitely some very strong characters which are about to happen in the competitive tier. S.Mits is the best character who has to interact. Interesting thought. I mean, S.Mits is definitely high in the competitive tier for me, but yeah, we'll move on to the next tier just because I think we have set the scene. This might be a slightly controversial one, and I don't think we've seen many Margarets compete is the issue. I think this character has a ridiculous amount of potential, just because it is near impossible to block this character's mix. Hey Yoshi, yeah, speak of the devil. The set play loops into itself. It is really hard to block. The threats and the counterplay are really good at most ranges. She gets to spam orbs with really low risk to herself. But yeah, I think we need to see more of them. Like when I played CZ, I really struggled because a lot of her buttons autocorrect, and it's really hard to move around her because, again, a lot of her attacks move her. The persona displacement's really strong. And yeah, it is... Yeah, Hero makes a good point. So again, this is the main reason I put pressure at high, because that includes Oki in set play here. Because I can't really include it anywhere else. It is just really hard to deal with. I think this character has a lot of potential. Her damage conversion is also really high. She doesn't even need to be near you to convert a lot of her damage. Her pressure is just really hard to visibly deal with. And yeah, also her non-persona normals are actually pretty decent. The ability to effectively reverse beat. It's not true reverse beat in this game. It's just a really weird P table, but it's just good. It's really good. So this 2A for some reason is ridiculously active. This jump B moves you as well as presenting threats. One of the best jump Cs in the game. So 5Cs in the game. Orb spam. Well, ball spam. This is a really good defensive tool. This is Power Slash. You basically have to guess which version of Power Slash they did to whether you can punish it. And it allows for more cancels into decent pressure. One of the best jump Cs in the game. A lot of people don't think about this jump C, but it is 13 frames like the other broken jump Cs on a persona disjoint. Yeah, and she does have decent matchups. That's a good point, Thun. Yeah, character's just good in a lot of ways. And I think, in my mind, the potential is really there. The question is there going to be someone to take up the mantle and really push her? And the funny thing is, like, I don't think she's really been properly labbed in this version. Like, I'm scared to see what's possible. Yeah, loses to Ken. Yeah, that's probably fair enough. Like, a character who needs to spam stuff in the air. But I feel like she can probably float above the dog and not have to worry about the threats. But again, I'd have to see a high-level Margaret deal with Ken. And like the only issue with Persona in 2025 is that it's starting to be hard to find examples of like every matchup, but game's still going strong, so maybe we'll see some. I hope we do. She is definitely nabbed. Interesting. Fortune, yeah. Yeah, I think there's still some names, and we'll see if people do manage to share the love in terms of the knowledge, but yeah, character's good. That's the reason that she moved up one. Ken is here because I think Ken is broken for the same reasons that Shadow Ken is. He doesn't get to abuse a lot of mechanics. So the conversion's down. The defense is slightly worse just because yeah, that's the thing. I feel like a lot of players haven't labbed for 2.5, which is a big issue. Like, this game really opens up when you lab the new stuff in this version because they changed a lot of the proration routes. So yeah, we'll see if Marg manages to get someone to really push her. So yeah, Ken is roughly what he was before. So I think both Margaret and for Ken, they both moved up one because of another character that got moved down, but I'll get to that. But yeah, he's slightly more exploitable because it's not as risky to contest him. Just because he can't kill you with DP into Frenzy. He doesn't gain meter quite as quickly, but he does do slightly higher average damage. I think he is the worst variant, but he is still an absolute nightmare. If you don't have good answers for him or ways to quickly kill the dog or threaten the dog and Ken at the same time. But yeah, character is good. Character is still good, but not as good as Shadow. Alright, here is Shadow Mitsuru. So as mentioned before, yeah, she pokes you. She pokes you a lot. She has lots of crazy stuff that she can do and confirm from it. She has one of the best Shadow routes in the game. Basically gets to do bung 6k onto pretty much every combo. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. She has really good normals. Yeah, she just does really well at pretty much every range. She is slow. She has some counterplay. As Fun said, you do have to interact with this character. If you know exactly what's coming, you can punish her, which is why she is below some of the other characters. It is hard to do so though. So for example, with Coudoir, it has 15 frames of recovery. That is less recovery than most of the normals in this game. So you have to like fall into her and attack in, or have some way of like attacking into it that doesn't clash. Might be the best in the game, but only offline. Interesting thought. I think, well, the issue is there is counterplay to this character for a lot of other characters. Like even as Labrys, I feel like I get to play the game against Mitsuru / Shadow Mitsuru. Apologies for the ads. My bad. They have to happen so people don't get ads when they join. But yeah, just really good really good buttons. The buttons are really good. They confirm into full combo, and basically provide threat at nearly full screen. Really good poke stuff. This is the super that does all of the damage to you. Yeah, it's just really good conversions from Frenzy. Yeah, causes trouble. Has some actual mix. Has like instant overheads that require meter to confirm, but do require resources, unlike some of the other characters we've already mentioned. And yeah, just a decent matchup spread. I think because you do have to play the game, this is why she's not higher. But I feel like everyone else before her, you don't actually have to play the game as hard. You can just sort of press buttons and be okay with it. So that's why she's here. But I think she is still an incredible threat, which is why she's so early on the list. Yeah, that's Shadow Mitsuru. Right, here is normal Naoto. So normal Naoto is the one who got reduced, which is why everyone else above her got increased by one slot. I think this character is good. I think this character has potential. I don't know why you would play this character when Shadow exists, but she works. She does some crazy stuff. For example, she has some good stuff with the low 5 AA. Her non-fate damage, yeah, is slightly higher as well. This character does actually do decent damage, and I do wonder how far she can be pushed with one more burst. I don't think anyone's really labbed it fully, but we'll have to see. We haven't seen that many normal Naoto players. Yeah, it's a low 5AA that also allows for jump cancels. That's kind of crazy in my opinion. But yeah. And she also has good, so her zoning tools are still good. They provide less threat because you can't frenzy from them. Well, but you can still confirm sometimes, but you don't get frenzy. So it's not as high in terms of conversion. But I think she still has a lot of good stuff. This TB still exists, this jump C still exists, this thing still exists. Like that 5B is crazy as well, that 2C, this thing. It's good. And I think the character has potential to really go far, but again, why pick this character? You'd be silly to. But yeah, I think the character's okay. But again, we don't really see it that often just because why? Like, random is pretty much the only one we've seen. Yeah, you don't get to rob as hard, effectively. Hey Minazuki, good to see you. How you doing? What is that emote? Pika ramen. I hope you have some nice food. But yeah. Bossadai, don't know if I've seen them play, but interesting. I need to look them up. But yeah, I think the character can go far, but again, why? Why would you do this to yourself? Yeah, character is strong, I think. Not much more to be said on that one. Here's S.Aigis. S.Aigis is an incredibly consistent character, but has weaknesses that can be exploited in some matchups, and if you know the matchup well, you can kind of deal with her. It depends on exactly what's happening. Hey Killer Kitty, good to see you. And yeah, I have bumped her up 2 slots. I can't exactly remember why, but there we go. She is, in my opinion, one of the stronger characters who's consistent. Seems low to you, interesting. I think, so you can see here, one of the spread that I've given her. Her conversion's really high, just that's all gear damage and the consistency from the set play. Her pressure is unblockable, effectively. Yeah, that's why she has the max pressure possible. Her neutral is pretty good as well when she's in Ogier, and I think she gets to play a really good neutral game, and the falling bullets has been a really big help to her. And the 2C conversions really help from her random attacks in neutral, but yeah, it's good. So the reason I've not given defense as high is because if you do manage to lock her down, so outside of Ogier, I think her defense is pretty awful. Like, she has shield, which is a good reversal, but that's pretty much it. Her DP doesn't cover above her, it doesn't cover behind her, and it is one of the easiest DP punishes in the game. Pretty much everyone gets full punish from that DP if it gets pressed incorrectly. Her buttons are also quite stubby. She doesn't have an anti-air 2B. Yeah, it's kind of bad outside of Ogier. In Ogier, yes, she has the backdash. I feel like there are ways to deal with the backdash, especially because of the dead angle above her. And I think people need to really research how they can threaten from above. So yes, it's slight RPS, but I think there are solutions that people haven't thought about. Like if you go from above, like this down angle here, she can't do much to you outside of the supers with your gear backdash. And if you have something that's active enough to threaten that range, then you're golden, and she can't all gear backdash. It is difficult to deal with. And the fact that she also gets the air roll immediately, like halfway through the backdash, is crazy. That probably shouldn't be allowed, but it's a thing. So I don't think it's as good, and I think she struggles against Yukari, in my opinion. She has 9k health, which isn't quite enough to be high, in my opinion, and that just means she dies to Yukari if she gets tagged once or twice. But yeah, that's that. So I don't think she has quite the tools, and I don't think she also does as well against the Shadow Naotos. Everyone struggles against Yukari, this is true, but if we're looking at a competitive character, I think she especially does, just because she tried. The thing with S.Aigis is that you do have to approach your opponent to threaten them. She has ranged tools, but all they will ever do is knock them down and allow you to mode change. And you still need to go in after you've mode changed. So yeah, I think she does have to play the game, which relative to everyone else we've seen before is slightly worse. Yeah, we'll have a quick look back at what we've seen so far, just for Killer Kitty to see. So this was the Untouchable tier, which was Yukari into Shadow Yukari, into Shadow Naoto, into Shadow Ken. Then we've had Margaret, Ken, Shadow Mits, Naoto. And then we got to S.Aigis. But yeah, I think S.Aigis actually has to interact with her opponent in some way or another. She has a lot of stuff that kind of ignores what your opponent's done, but if they get red, you do get hit for it. So I think the character has to play the game, which is a lot more than could be said for characters that we've already seen. And like the damage is good, but it is lower than it used to be in mid-screen. And it does take her a combo or two to get the opponent to the corner. But once you have someone knocked down, yeah, the pressure is absolutely crazy. But she also has, like, her meter has a downside. She does have to manage an Ogiya meter. Now, it's not terribly difficult, but it does mean that she can't always be on, like Yukari. And having to deal with that is somewhat of a weakness as well. Why play S.Aigis when Yukari does everything she always does, but better? Exactly, that's the point. If you're trying to win, this character does actually have to play the game. And there are characters that don't have to play the game. So yeah, that's my thoughts on S.Aigis, which is why she isn't... Yeah, in terms of robbery, she isn't quite as good as... She can rob a little bit, but that includes knocking down, and stuff can happen when you get knocked down. So yeah. Hey Aria, good to see you, by the way. Style points, yeah. Exactly. I mean, I feel like I said before, this game is well balanced enough that I think everyone does get to play. Thanks for the follow, by the way. Much appreciated. Yeah, so this character is, in my opinion, like the best of the... Really has to play the game to the end. Because yes, the pressure is almost perfect and she does get to safe jump into incredibly good pressure, but there are weaknesses. People can reversal. And yeah, it is also true. This again, the context of this tier list is every character played to their limits. At the bottom and mid level, everyone is viable. And basically always the better player will win at a low level, which is nice. I really like it. Hey Mike, good to see you. But yeah, I think this game is relatively well balanced. It's just really at the top when people are properly exploiting the best of what every character can send out, that all of what I'm saying applies. But yeah, that's S.Aigis. I think she's good. Yeah, really good set play. Does have to do work though, that's the point. Does have to actually get that first hit. And like, even though the 2B is good, it can be rolled. Even though like flying in into jump B is good, it can be 2B'd. It is actually slightly easier to 2B than a lot of other characters' jump-ins. Basically, you can kill this character, but for knowing what she's going to do. But yeah, it's strong though, it's strong. And here's Shadow S.Aigis. Shadow S.Aigis is the spicy version of S.Aigis. I think I said this last time. In my opinion, does the damage slightly differently, has a slightly higher robbery potential, but I think for a character that's built around consistency, I don't know why you would choose to do this. It can make sense. I think there are definitely characters where you 100% want to avoid the opponent having Awakening. For example, Yukari, where it might make sense to switch to Shadow. And I think this character is definitely pretty much as good as normal. It was pretty much a coin flip to put her below. But in my opinion, again, why even bother? Yeah, the extra HP does matter. For a 9k to a 10k, that is pretty big as a jump. But yeah, roughly the same tools. I think can do slightly more from the reversals, but yeah, it's basically a coin flip as to, well, A, who you're facing, and B, what you feel like playing. Trades higher damage stuff for getting spear faster. I mean, yeah, but I don't think Spear is the better of her reversal supers, in my opinion. I think, well, Spear is trivial to punish on reaction after flash, which Shield is not, in my opinion. And Shield also covers a much bigger range and gets Aigis out of any danger that she's in. It covers above her, it covers slightly behind her. Spear does not. And Spear used to be able to do a lot of damage. It got nerfed, so I think the threat from it's slightly less high. But yeah, that's what it is. I don't think Spear being accessible is necessarily huge. In my experience of fighting, Aigis Shield is always the more problematic super. Well, here's the thing, like you're not going to use SB on defense, and the 7 frames is 7 frames, but it's a projectile, so it can be rolled. So yeah, it's what it is. Hey KG, good to see you. Same health as Kanji. Yeah, that is a big upgrade, I agree. But yeah, I guess the point is, yeah, thanks for the resub as well. Yeah, same health as Kanji. Not what was I gonna say? Yeah, reversal supers is all about what can you do to beat it, and 7 frames is good, but Shield is also good and is just difficult to punish. So yeah, I guess Spear stuff. So yeah, Spear is easy to punish, and it doesn't give you a knockdown, and it doesn't get you out, and it can be rolled on Super Flash, and it can be you can go above Aigis, you can go behind Aigis. Yeah, I guess the point is it's good against some safe jumps. Oh, most safe jumps. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. It goes from 9 to 10k. It doesn't go from... Kanji is 10.5k, which is ridiculous. But yeah, here we go. Anyway, no fighting in chat. We're going to move on. Here's Liz. So Liz is an interesting one. I bumped her down 2 positions. Partially because I don't think she's being labbed as much. Shadow Kanji is 11k. Normal Kanji is 10.5. That's one of the reasons he's ridiculous. Yeah, Elizabeth, I think she does have a lot of incredibly good tools. Yeah, her 5A is really... Look at this. Look at this. And this is also... Yeah, it's 8 frames, but it has one of the lower recoveries in the game, so she can just sort of spam it. So for reference, Labrys 5A has less range and has about twice the full loop length. So it's ridiculous. It also has really good damage from it too. Yeah, it's kind of silly. So lack of labbing, well, I think the point is this 5A is -1. Yeah, it's also ridiculous in terms of frame data. I guess the point is I don't think she's being pushed as much as she could be, and the knowledge is starting to fall off. I think she's still really good, but we have yet to see her potential, and I think maybe it's slightly less consistent. Yeah, her conversions are ridiculous. The only real issues she has is her movement, but her persona does a lot of the work for her, as do her attacks. Yeah, she's really good. I think the other issue is that a lot of Liz players don't seem to talk to each other. Like, I fought like 3 or 4 different Liz players, and they all have different optimals in different areas, and for some reason just they don't talk. That, or they all have different ideas about what's optimal. But yeah, and yeah, she was one of the biggest winners in 2.5, and that's why she is as high as she is. And I think she can definitely hold her own in a lot of matchups. Being able to threaten both a physical and projectile pretty much instantly at any range is crazy strong. This 5C is really good. It's really hard to roll because you can be both too early and too late. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really good. And it's one of the best starters in the game, and it goes into itself. This jump C is also really good. Bufu is mainly a problem in Awakening. Speaking of Awakening, the fact that she can self-awaken for pretty much no risk at any range. Honestly, I think it might even be correct to... I think a lot of Liz players don't do this, but to shove B Mind Charge into a lot of routes. But yeah. We don't see it that often, but I think Awakening Liz... If Liz was always in Awakening, I would put her like 3 or 4 spots up, but she isn't. But yeah, if we had more Liz players, then we'd see more. I think there could be room for expansion, and she could be even higher. She does struggle against some of the stronger characters. So Naoto bullets will break through a lot of her stuff or hit her, as will Yukari's arrows sometimes. And she has slightly lower health as well, so it can be risky. The change from 8 to 8.5 really benefited her a lot, like especially with how Awakening works. Well, that's the thing. This is about the potential of the character. So yes, NBM was a big part in pushing this character's strength. We do have, I think, Ryo in Japan, who plays this character decently, but I don't think even they push like the proper 2.5 routes like NBM does. Tori as well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point. I need to watch a bit more of Tori before I put a judgment out on that character, on that player, sorry. But yeah, I think character has absurd ability to just sort of turn random hits, when she has really good ways of getting those random hits too, into damage and setup and kills. Fear is absolutely broken. Garu actually is broken because it basically has no effective recovery if you use it in the right way. It is both a left-right and an anti-anti-air, as is her jump B actually. This 2B is crazy. Lots of things are crazy, but they're crazy, but they have risks, and I don't think they're on the same level of crazy as some of the characters we've already seen. And yeah, lower health, not as good defense. The defense is lower. It's not terrible. I think a DP that moves her isn't awful, and people need to get it in their heads that even though, yes, the DP is a grab and it can be teched, A, on counter hit, it can't be teched, and B, you would rather have your opponent tech your DP than block it and kill you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, yes, yeah, so not all moves have counter hit recovery, but even if you tech the move, like against most other characters, you would have blocked that DP and you'd kill them for it. But no, she just gets to get away with it being teched. You also can't safe jump her properly because of it. So yeah, it's not awful, and yeah, the fact it moves her like Yukari's. Like, people recognize that Yukari DP moving the character is really big. Guess who also does that? It's Liz. The reason you see Liz players spam DP over and over again is because it's so hard to punish. Like, it's not that risky of an attack. Yeah, and she also has, yeah, if you tech her DP, you get put straight into 5C range. Like, you are +2, I think, but yeah, it's not a range you want to be in. And yet the recovery on it's not that high either. So, and you can't block it. That's the issue. It is effectively unblockable. Well, you can say you blocked it, but your punish window is being +2, which isn't punishable. Well, hop does kind of kill grab attacks, but even if you read it with a hop, the hop has to be timed absolutely perfectly. And remember, you can't attack her while she's DPing. So even if you hop attack, she is invul and you'll just land and have to tech the grab. Yeah, it's good. It's not a bad DP. It's like middle of the road, in my opinion. It's low risk, like it's low reward, but it's low risk. Like, yeah, I've tried to hop it so many times and just landed before the DP's finished. It lasts forever too. Yeah, character's okay. Character has decent defense. Character has decent tools. Conversion's crazy. Oppression's okay. It depends if you have a 6-frame 5A. If you don't have a 6-frame or 5-frame 5A, 5C into RPS will kill you eventually, just because she also gets buffed for doing 2C. Her 2C is also really good. I think it's broken because you can't break it while charging. Have you missed Yosuke or Shadow Yosuke? No, you have not, Luke. Good to see you. But yeah. I think this character's decent. I think this character has potential, but I think we've yet to see it. But yeah, welcome, Luke. It is S.Chie. This might also be a slightly controversial one because the neutral isn't there, and I think the defense isn't there. But she just has to touch you once, and the game is over. That's the issue. Like, the absolute abuse of shadow mechanics because of how power charge works and frenzy works. Like, this character was not built with those mechanics in mind, so neutral isn't awful in my opinion. She has the 5C and the 2C are decent. I think Chie players don't use 5C and 2C enough because it has the persona invul and it has decent range on it. And it confirms from most of even like really far range 2C as well. This jump C is crazy because you basically get to spam it as an air delay and it isn't overhead, so you can't 2B it properly just because it's body attribute. So yeah, it's kind of good. And yes, you can kill you from ground as well with a really good stagger, some of the best stagger in the game. Yeah, it's just, character's good, mostly because she gets to kill you. She only has to hit you once. The Oki is decent with a 5D. That 5A is crazy just both because it's got decent frame data if you don't cancel it, but it can also self-cancel. It's good, it's good. Yeah, the jump C body attribute. I don't know why they did that. That's stupid. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we saw more of them. I think Umi's the main shadow Chie that we see. She can safe jump. Ah, safe jump frame 10 DP is interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I would love if Labrys jump B was a body attribute, but sadly not. Yeah, sorry, safe jump. That's the right word. You're right. But yeah, this character I think is crazy. I think one of the issues and one of the reasons we don't see them is just you don't even really play the game that much. You just sort of, you open them up once, you pop frenzy and the round's over, and then you just wait until you have frenzy and do it again. That's pretty much the entire character, and I get the feeling that's very boring to do. I'm honestly not sad that we don't have many of them, but yeah, it's what it is. Oh, hey Shimley, good to see you. Shadow is boring? Yeah, exactly. Exactly, that's the point. I think this character is so straightforward that even though she's strong, nobody plays her. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe someone will come along and think, yes, this is what I want to do. Itoshi, interesting. I don't think I've seen Itoshi that much. But yeah, strong character. Basically just consumes your health bar if he touches you once, which is good. Getting that touch might be slightly tricky, but you'll eventually open up someone once at some point. But yeah, that's the character. Character is good. Here is Minazuki. Minazuki has been bumped up, I think, just because we've seen the ridiculous damage from some of the better Minazuki players recently. He's just a solid all-rounder that has a lot of different tools and a lot of ways. He can threaten you up close. He can threaten you from far away. Most of his attacks lead into massive damage. Like there's meterless. Like if you up back against him incorrectly and he 5Cs you, I'm pretty sure you take 5k meterless. How many times have I fought Mina? Interesting. High level Mina is quite low. I've mostly seen Mina play. But yeah, it's interesting we don't see many of them. I think the character is harder to play than you think. I have actually played one recently, but it's a beginner. I think that raccoon is a beginner Minazuki. Yeah, everyone coming for their character. Well, everyone is welcome. From what starter is 5k? I think it's 5c. Air counter hit 5c. Is meterless 5k, I believe. Yeah, Minazuki and Sho have seen some more players recently, which is interesting. We'll see if those players get good and really play at the top level. But yeah, I don't think it's quite corner, but yeah, we'll see. AoE damage is decent, yeah, as well. Yeah, I think pocket Minazuki is quite common because his neutral is relatively straightforward. It has got a little bit harder, but yeah, he also has some really good answers to stuff. Like that 2D is really good, as is jump 2D. The knives are good. His jump B is really good. he has a command grab, which is more than most can say up close. He doesn't quite have the normals for the close range stagger, but it's good. Like, it's a thing. He is too boring to play. Yeah, like, it is straightforward. I'll give you that. But yeah, he converts for a lot of damage. He does have to take some risk. Like, a lot of his 5C has a lot of recovery on it. And sending out the persona does kind of put him at risk, but yeah, it's what it is. He does have absolutely correct conversions, I agree here. That's why this is so high. But yeah, there's not really much to say about Minazuki. I just think he has pretty much everything. Like, he has a ground DP, which is decent. It goes above and in front. He has an air DP as well. He has... You can't safe jump him when he's in Awakening because he has a frame 0 counter. Yeah, character's good. I mean, you can use projectiles and other things, I think, against that one. But he basically has a little bit of everything, which is nice. Yeah, character's decent. Here is Shadow Yosuke. Luke, if you're here, here is Shadow Yosuke. I think strong in a lot of different ways. Some of the best movement in the game, some of the better mix-ups options in the game. It's not the best. He does still have to actually do mix and somewhat take risks to mix you. The double overhead stuff with the jump AB and the hop jump AB is kind of broken, but he does require some resources to do high damage off of that. He does have to build resources a few times before he gets to kill you, but then he gets to kill you. Poison is absolutely broken as a mechanic. Poison doesn't give you your burst back, and a lot of his damage is done from frenzy, from the first hit. Character does a lot of damage very quickly and really well. He's really good frenzy user, effectively. Yeah, just does. It's also really hard to pin down in neutral as well. Yeah, you can see his neutral. I gave him a really high neutral rating just because it's really hard to pin him down. It's really hard to deal with what he has. Low tooling. So tooling as a category, as I explained earlier, is mostly the ability to deal with the untouchable tier. That is Yukari, Shadow Yukari, Shadow Naoto, and... Sorry, not normal Naoto, so Shadow Naoto and Shadow Ken. Interesting. You better fix your keyboard, Luke. Yeah, so dealing with Yukari and Shadow Naoto, I don't think Yosuke necessarily has the tools up there to deal with those. Just because he does have to go forward to attack, and he doesn't have the quite same ranged threat. He doesn't have a way of punishing people. Yeah, apologies for the ads. Unfortunately, it is a necessity for when people join to not get ads. Interesting, you think he can? I'm not entirely sure. Like, he has the mix to deal with them, but I'm not entirely sure how he does neutral. Like, yes, you can run at them, and run at 5A is really good as a tool. I think this is run at 5A. One of the best run at 5As in the game due to the slide. 5A is big. Slide is big. 2B is big. Sorry, yeah, just re-explaining tooling. So I think ability to be a threat at all ranges and dealing with Yukari and Shadow Naoto. I think kunai is a decent anti-zoning tool, but Yukari tends to zone you from the air, so it's not as effective against her. It's decent though, it is decent. And you do have to knock down once or twice, and I think those characters can deal with being knocked down once or twice. It's hard to say, yeah. Apologies for the ads again. I need to run, I think, 3 minutes of ad per hour to make people not get ads when they join. But yeah, all you have to do is drop a Prime sub. Easy. Kidding. But yeah, so I think some countries don't get ads, and there are also ad blockers. Obviously, as a Twitch affiliate, I will not tell you how to block ads, but it's not necessarily hard. Your standard favorite ad blockers with some small adjustments can block ads. If you use uBlock Origin, there's a very basic script that will block Twitch ads. Look it up if you want. Anyway. Shadow Yosuke. Yeah, just very hard to pin down. Lots of really high active attacks. This 5C you basically can't... you can't roll it and punish it just because of how fast it is. It's absolutely crazy. This is Jump C. It just lasts forever and controls so much of the screen. It's really hard to contest. The unblockable is definitely good for what it is. It requires resources to confirm off of. But the fact that he gets a full screen unblockable that's effectively unreactable is crazy. It's reactable if you're waiting for it, but you're not waiting for it when you're full screen. So SB Tentarafu I think is absolutely crazy. Microvac, yeah, 5D and 5C in general is good. Wait, kunai is a strike. That explains a lot. Okay. I thought that there was something weird about full screen kunai. Is it actually a strike? Because I remember like trying stuff and like the final hit's hitting me or something. I thought it was a projectile, but interesting. I think it's a strike once it hits the ground, not while it's flying, or something like that. Yeah, strike plus projectile, something weird. Yeah, EX Tentarafu. Yeah, basically means people don't get to feel safe while on the ground. But anyway, that's that. I'm going to drink some water. I've been speaking for a while already. One sec. I mean, Dustloop is wrong about a lot of things. I wouldn't fully trust it. I've had to correct quite a few things. For example, Deathbound is actually body attribute when it hits the ground, which means you can't really 2B it. A lot of Labrys attacks, like Labrys Jump C, for some reason is head attribute. Why? I couldn't tell you. Same with Labrys Jump D. So I had to add that. Yeah, I've edited the move attribute pages a few times now. I mean, yeah, if you roll through kunai, you do get to run up against Yosuke, but most characters can't punish that full screen. Yeah. It's not an impossible move to deal with, but it's certainly good. But yeah, I think this character's decent. I think this character has a lot of things to do, but I think doesn't quite carry the threat of a lot of other characters, and does, for somewhat has to play the game. So yeah, character has potential, but isn't quite as consistent as some other characters that we've already mentioned. Alright, better matchup spreads. Yeah, I think there aren't awful matchups for him, but I think there are some where he does have to take the big risks, so I do wonder. Character's good, character's good. It's okay, Luke. I mean, if you don't have wait, A, B, C, D, E, F, F. Ah, okay, F. You don't have F. Interesting. You can use an on-screen keyboard, you know. I think that's built into Windows. Tier list. Ah, I'm glad someone is here for the tier list. Welcome, M0. Nice to see you. But anyway, next character, Marie. Marie is here. Marie is here mostly because of NBM's efforts to lab the character and what she can do. I mean, it's always fun doing tier lists and having everyone come and discuss things. But yeah, I think this character does a lot. The DP, I think, is very good for many reasons. One, because it has 15 active frames. 2, because it hits everywhere. 3, because it cancels into one of the best defensive supers in the game, which he has even outside of Awakening. Yeah, DP super cancel is safe. It's true. It's ridiculous. If it was Awakening, maybe I'd understand it, but it's just always there, and it's also really high damage, and it also is one more cancelable, and it's also available in the air. We have F key Nice, Luke. But yeah, it just does so many things. So yeah, that DP, it also takes us slightly off the ground, which means the punishes aren't good. For Labrys, it's okay with 2B, but even then, if you need to 5A, it's not great. Yeah, just her defense is really good. She also has an excellent 2B. The DP is also accessible in the air, I agree. Like, so like NBM will jump in, he's realized that he has incorrectly jumped in, I'm about to 2B him, and he just DPs me on his own jump in. That's crazy. Yeah, it's good, and it also shocks in certain weather, which is really strong as well, given what Marie wants to do. Yeah, it's a really good DP, and it's a really good reversal super. And the super is also available in the air, and it also does a lot of damage, and it also converts really well. It just does a lot. I mean, it's punishable if she doesn't have meter. If she does have meter, it's not punishable, really. Yeah, air DPs are insanely privileged, and it changes a lot of matchups. I agree. I think Marie's especially because it hits both sides. Like S.Aigis is an air DP, and it's good, but if you're at a different level than your opponent, it doesn't work. Just duck NBM, yeah, maybe. But no, Marie's hits above, it hits below, it hits behind. It's also kind of hard to punish. It doesn't have that much recovery, especially if it's just off the ground. Yeah, it's a good DP, just hits everywhere, in my opinion. And that's one of the reasons she has great defense. She also has a great 2B, decent 5A, decent dashes, both decent jumps. One of the fastest dash startups in the game, dash acceleration, sorry. Yeah, just really good. So yeah, that's the reason for the really high defense. I think her neutral is really good as well. And wait, what? Sorry. Let's go into the second point second. Conversion, I think, is really good as well. She uses her supers really well. The jump B converts into a lot of damage, and this is a really good jump B as well. It has a ton of hit stun on counter hit. If you get hit by this counter hit from the top of the screen, she still gets a full combo for some reason. Like compared, I think it has the exact same hit stun as Labrys jump B in green on Fatal. That's how crazy that move is. It also hits behind. It's also really fast, and you still get full combo on the back hit as well. It's crazy. That 2B also converts into a lot of hits and a lot of damage. It also has basically no recovery. So this thing has 20 frames of recovery while also being a really fast 2B. So she can just spam it. So this is something they removed in vanilla, but also gave Marie for some reason. I'm not sure why they did that. Maybe DLC character privilege. I think she's a DLC character. But yeah, she basically just gets to spam it, which is sad. Or if she whiffs it, she just gets to DP as well. So you can't bait that 2B. It's ridiculous. This 5B is also ridiculous. It goes so far. It's really hard to punish. It is chest attribute, but it also takes her off the ground. So half of the sweeps in the game will go under it, and she gets to jump over. Basically, the only punish is a perfect backdash, or like jumping over it, massively over it. Yeah, it's kind of silly, that 5B. Combined with her dash speed. That dash acceleration is stupid. She basically gets to appear on the other side of the screen whenever she wants. But yeah, really good normals, really good conversions. If you leave her alone for half a second, presents are just unfun. I don't know why presents can't be interacted with. No level of projectile will destroy a present or a cloud. This is stupid. Why? I mean, yeah, on whiff it's 32, but if the move whiffed, where are you? Like, where on the screen are you? Either, hey Meep, it's good to see you. We are in the middle of a tier list. But yeah, if 5B whiffed, like, where on the screen are you exactly? Because if she pressed it early, that's the fault of the Marie player. You can't really punish it on block because of the 5BB. At least Labrys can't. I know characters can DP sometimes. You can't really be above it because it hits really far up in the air as well. But yeah, really good move. Where was I? Oh yeah, leaving her alone in neutral. Presents, you can't interact with them. This is stupid, including SP present, which chases you and turns infinitely and combos into itself. into full combo for her. Why? This is silly. Same with Cloud. You can't destroy it with any level of projectile and it just follows you until it dies. This is unfun. This is uninteractable. She does have to take some risks to send it out sometimes, but yeah, I don't like the fact of it's uninteractable once she sends it out. That's silly. And yeah, Cloud is insane for a lot of reasons, but not one of which is damage. Like, Cloud meterless confirm is like 3.5k if I'm remembering correctly. It is stupidly strong. I'm not entirely sure why, and it shocks you forever. So she basically gets to run from anywhere anywhere on the screen into full combo. And knockdown, yeah, and her knockdown game is good. She has a standing 5A, decent stagger as well. Yeah, character has a lot. This jump D as well is kind of silly for what it covers. I don't know why this isn't head attribute. Yeah, you can bait the present sometimes, but you can't bait SB present because it just continues to follow you. Well, you can still debate it to pop, but then you have to leave again, and then we're neutral again. But yeah, you can't bait Cloud, it's true. What characters have we already had? We'll cover the list once we get to the end of this tier. You'll see everything. But yeah, Jump D. Jump D isn't head attribute, so it's one of the best air delays in the game. But it also has really low recovery for the amount of screen it covers. You basically can't punish it unless you're already up there with her. It's silly. I don't know why. It should be head attribute, in my opinion. But there we go. It is an amazing move in neutral that you sort of just get to send out for free if you want to. And yeah, that's pretty much it from Marie. I think the character's good. I think the conversion is one of the main reasons. And yeah, just really hard to lock down, especially on defense. What move? Which move? Did I mention a move? Sorry. Jump C. Oh, this is Jump D. Which you also get to control a little bit about where it goes as well. But yeah, it's 3 arrows. This is 5C, which is also a decent move as well, but not quite as strong. It has some recovery on it. It does have crazy range on it too. But yeah, Jump D. Jump D is strong. Anyway. Hey Toshida, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. This is Adachi. Adachi is up a lot of places since last time. He has jumped up 4 places and a tier. Just because I think people have figured out exactly how to use him, like the mid-range monster he is, and he's had a lot of good performances recently as well. And yeah, it's just really solid showings over the past year. Adachi over S.Yosuke? No, this is under S.Yosuke. He's after, so he is lower. We are going down the list. But yeah, just mid-range monster. Really good meter usage. He does have some really good mix as well. I think the pressure here is quite high. He does have to take some risk. Yeah, the displacement's good. The like sending out the persona into 5C. It's one of the best 5Cs in the game, in my opinion. Really strong. Should absolutely be chest attribute, but isn't. Really good anti-air. Really good anti-everything, to be honest. Really hard to punish. Uses meter really well. If Shadow Adachi was real, Shadow Adachi would be absolutely broken. If he was instantly able to pop both buffs, I think that would be crazy. 5C is both a hit grab and an attack depending on how it hits. But yeah, it's just really good. It's really fast, it has really good range, it has Persona Invuln on it. It's just really good attack. Neutral is strong, but there isn't really a neutral skip apart from, you know, spamming Jump C. But some characters can compete with the Jump C. It is one of the best Jump Cs in the game, but some characters can compete with it. Yeah, it's what it is. Well, his 5C, in my opinion, is better than Narukami's. Narukami's, I don't think, has as much horizontal range. Well, 2C is also hit grab, so both his 5C and 2C can grab you, but 2C is the anti-air hit grab, that's also air unblockable, which is strong, but it does carry some risk to it. Yeah, so basically he does have some risk on a lot of his attacks, which is one of the reasons I don't think he's higher than he is, but I think he is good. I think he is competitive. I don't think you are at risk of losing because of your character when you're playing him. At least not unless you're playing some of the Untouchable tier. He does have some struggles against the Yukaris and the Shadow Naotos. Yeah, he does get to convert off a lot of 2 here, you're right. SB Gunshot is also kind of crazy. But yeah, basically, he is incredibly strong in the mid-range as well, both because of the 5C and the jump C. He doesn't have a lot of anti-zoning options, it's true. He does have one. He does have jump 2D. You think Adachi loses to everyone in this tier except Marie? Well, we're going down the list, Don. So yes, I mean, if that was true, he should be down here. This is correct. He is at the bottom of this tier. But yeah, I think he's good. I think he's good, but I think he doesn't quite have the bite of a lot of the other characters or the consistency. I think he's fine though. I think he's fine. And yeah, jump 2D is good as a zoning tool. It's not amazing, it's good. At least he has one, which isn't true for every character in the game. I think for example, I don't think it's as good as Junpei's Deathbound, but I think it's okay. For example, this jump 2D is head attribute all the way down, and it's a single hit. So you can 2B it if you want on reaction, or you can 5A it if you're feeling brave. Who is number 1? Yukari. That shouldn't surprise you. Anyway, yeah, character's okay, and has some scary stuff. Normal Yukari into Shadow Yukari. Is Shadow Yukiko, one of the better users of Shadow mode. Again, in my opinion, is only salvaged by Shadow because yes, the damage conversions are crazy. The ability to use both the supers is really important for her. The zoning isn't crazy relative to what a lot of other characters have. The fan spam is good. I'll answer the S.Aigis question in a sec, but yeah. So I think the conversion's there, but I don't think the pressure's there. Like once any hot takes you missed, according to the US community, everything I see is a hot take, Glue. But yeah, the VoD will be out soon, as long as it doesn't get muted. Hopefully Blue Archive music's okay. I think her defense, the DP's good. The DP's good. It's not amazing, it's good. I think the neutral's okay as well. I don't think she has basically any pressure. Once she pressures you, she basically just resets you into neutral. Tries to persona mix you a little bit. She has a decent AoE, but I don't think it's quite there. Firebird is good, but again, she needs stuff for it. I think, yeah, so the fact that she can touch you and then just kill you from full screen is crazy, but I don't think the threat's there that people should be being opened up as much by this character. Like, there's not that much to prevent you from just sort of dashing up then blocking. She doesn't have any instant projectiles that'll kill you for doing that. The unblockable setups are really good, and there has been a Shadow Yukiko who's been doing the rounds on the JP tournaments recently. I think it's Hero. And they've been making me rethink this placement. Maybe pushing her up a little bit, but that's yet to be seen. But yeah, they've been doing some real work on the character, and I do wonder. Like, I feel like they've been playing the character really well. I'm not entirely sure it's the character that's carrying them. Yeah, the DP's okay. The DP's okay. Yeah, other hero. Clearly, having the name hero means you're a goat, no matter which country you're in. They aren't a fan of lag? Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, comparing with Japan connections is difficult. I think they're going to put a cable in between Europe and Japan at some point. I do hope that happens one day. Us against the Marg. Yeah, I think she has some not amazing matchups as well, but yeah, character's okay. Again, in the competitive tier, which means you are absolutely not at major risk of playing this character, from playing this character. But yeah, it's what it is. So what was the question? Mudkip's question was, why is Aigis so low on defense compared with Marie? So Aigis, the DP does not cover every angle. Aigis' supers all have dead zones and can mostly be punished on reaction. Aigis' movement outside of Ogier isn't as amazing. Aigis' buttons aren't quite as threatening as well. She doesn't have as good of a 2B on defense. Well, Aigis doesn't have an anti-air 2B. Even with Ogier, like, you don't have an anti-air 2B, so someone sneaking around behind you and above you is going to cause you problems. Yeah, I mean, Ogier backdash into the Ogier air dash, it can be a thing, but that has risks. There are ways of covering that. I think most people don't know how to do it, but it's possible. Yeah, I think there's a lot more risk to Aigis's DP options. Backdash gold burst cancel. Interesting. But yeah, I think Marie's defensive options just hit everywhere. And they don't carry as much risk. Like, you're not going to really be able to punish her when she has meter. I mean, it's kind of the same is kind of true for Aigis, but you can be at an angle where the DP will whiff. There are no angles at which the DP whiffs. Yeah. Yeah, a bunch was talking about a backdash into gold burst, which is interesting. I do wonder if that's actually true about the window though, because you can't backdash on frame 1 in this game. So does that work? Oh, it will work on Aigis, sorry. But I don't think it'll work on anyone else. Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, nobody else can. Yeah, it's Ogier backdash gold burst. That's interesting. I've not seen it used. Maybe I do need to bump up Aigis' defense because of that option. I've not seen it in tournament yet, which is why I've not rated it. But if it's a thing that people do, then yeah, go for it. Well, Ogier Aigis can backdash frame 1 on wake up. Yeah, she is one of the only characters that can do that. The other character is Sho, who can dodge frame 1 wake up, which isn't quite the same, but one of the other meterless dodge options on wake up, which is lesser known actually, but it is weirdly strong. It's not as strong, like if you're spamming 2A you're going to get hit for that, but it's a thing. Anyway, I think we finished talking about Yukiko. I think Yukiko is one to watch as Hero plays more and more. But yeah, interesting stuff. Here's S.Labrys. I think S.Labrys is good at dealing with Yukari and Naoto and anyone who has to send out small things to beat your opponents. Yeah, Aigis has been taking up a lot of the discussion, but I think she's a decent character to discuss. But yeah, tooling is high because she deals with some of the crazier characters in an interesting way. I don't think she's necessarily advantaged, but she definitely evens the playing field, which is important. Other than that though, she isn't that impressive. She has some good tools. Some fancy setups with the unblockable grabs. Does require meter, does require setup. I think a lot of S.Labrys players have labbed some roots and she is doing more damage than she used to. And the puppet can both be a good and a bad thing, depending. But yeah, I think defense is pretty bad. So I don't think that's the lowest possible for defense. So she does have, yeah. You don't need meter to set up bite. I think, yeah, the easier setups from SB Guillotine require bite. Require meter. But yeah, I guess there are some routes that do work as well. But yeah, in my opinion, it's mostly gimmicky. Where does damage go? Damage goes in conversion. the ability to convert hits into damage. And yeah, I think she does do damage decently well. But yeah, the puppet can both help and hurt depending. So for Labrys, for example, she gets to cancel off the bull, which can be useful for her. She has to spend some effort to protect the bull. Her defense is weak in my opinion because her DP is very bad. Labrys' DP is actually lower than this. You can go all the way into this first one, I think. But yeah, it's a really bad DP. It doesn't cover much range. It's fast, but it's armored. It's super armor, but you take the full hit stop of all the attacks that are coming in. Can't you protect her DP with bite? Only on offense. You can't send the bull out immediately on as you wake up, and you can't send a bull to attack while you're being comboed. Well, I mean, wait, is that how it works? I think it is. Yeah, punishing the DP, I think, is doable if she does it on wake up. I don't think the bull comes up until after you do DP. I'm not entirely sure how the timings work up on that. DP SB bite, interesting. I've not seen anyone do that in a tournament, so maybe that's why I haven't factored that in. I do have to admit my knowledge on this character is a little bit low. I did have I've had sets with you, Killer Kitty. I don't think I've seen you do that, but interesting. And I had a set against Swamp Puppy as well who didn't do that. I'd be interested to see it, and I would bump up her defense if her DP was completely safe on block, but I don't think it is. But it's not a good DP regardless. It doesn't hit behind, it doesn't hit above, not that far in the very least. It steps her forward, which is bad. It is 13 frames, which is slower than normal, plus the armor. But yeah, also made of paper. That's one of the reasons the defense is low, so health goes into the defense as well. Just because you have fewer chances to use your defensive options if you're dead. And yeah, having 8k health is far too low for this game, in my opinion. So yeah, that's why. I think, again, in the competitive tier, I don't think you're necessarily in trouble by playing this character, but there are characters that do better in this tier. Here's normal Mitsuru. Normal Mitsuru is probably a little bit low, but yeah, it has to hit you more times than Shadow does. Doesn't gain the resources quite as quickly. Does some really good damage in Awakening, especially with 100 meter, but that requires a lot of things to have already happened. Shabrys getting touched once and blown up, yeah. I think Labrys can touch of death Shabrys without using D-Beast, which is pretty funny. In fact, without even using one more burst. I think I've got a YouTube short where I do that. But yeah, it's let's go back to Mitsuru. Yeah, I don't think Mitsuru quite poses the threat that she needs to, like Shadow does. Basically, the opponent gets a few more times to attempt to live, and that's enough to make her not as big of a threat. We are still in the competitive tier. I still think she's really good. I still think a lot of her tools are important. So, for example, Ku is still amazing. Her 5D and 2D is still amazing. So her 5A is still good. It can be swept, but it's good. But yeah, I think good character, but why would you play this version when Shadow exists for the most part? Just doesn't. Why would you take 3 or 4 hits to kill a character when you could just take 2? I don't understand why you do that. Still really strong though. Still has some really good conversions. Still gets to use AoA to gain meter at the end of combos, which is kind of silly in my opinion. The restands from freeze. I don't like freeze as a mechanic. I think it's silly. But you know, it's part of the game. Character's good, but also yeah, defense is low here because, I mean, what's this? Myriad Arrows is decent, but and like it's a really good anti-safe jump option, but it's risky. Doesn't cover everywhere, and on whiff, yeah, you do just die. So her DP is also okay, but it's like the default safe jumpable option. It hits behind, but She gets nothing from it. She doesn't even get a knockdown. She barely gets any setup from it either. She can put a Bufu out, but I mean, what's that going to do? Like, yes, the DP is good. It hits everywhere, but it's not scary. Like, she can super from it, but again, that's not that much damage. Converting into super on counter is good, but it's not... Again, it doesn't do crazy damage. Most of the time, you're not going to get killed from full awakening health from that. Yeah, well, Frenzy is on the Shadow, right? We're not talking about the Shadow at the moment, so yeah. Yeah, it's not like Ken either. Yeah, I think it's okay, but there are risks. And for example, the DP on block can be punished without any RPS by most characters with a 5A, which isn't amazing. A lot of characters will take that and run with it, so yeah, it's decent in a lot. Gives characters decent in a lot of ways, but has some downsides. The pressure's decent. Maybe should be slightly higher than what I put there, but most of it's mids and lows and feints. The feints are good, but most of it loses to up back grab. You have to really call out the up back grab, I think. Grand Blue list. I do not claim to be decent at Grand Blue. Maybe when I hit Masters. But yeah. Yeah, that's Mitsuru. I think she's okay. And this is also a new addition to this tier. This is Shadow Junpei. Shadow Junpei. I think Junpei in Victory Cry is a very strong character. And I think Junpei not in Victory Cry is a middle-ish, weakish character. But if you can guarantee Victory Cry and use Shadow mechanics decently, which Junpei does, I think he's really quite good. He has had some new tech recently. Nezo's been doing some work. Nezo does play normal, but the tech helps both of them. So for example, he now gets confirms off of some of the full screen hits. People have figured out that you can gatling from jump B into jump A, which I've not seen people do, but that's kind of strong. Basically free double overhead. Fake dumb man, yeah, he is. Strong anti-zoning tools. He can hit projectiles back at people. That's pretty good. Deathbound is really strong. It doesn't lead into damage, but it just puts enough threat out there that a lot of characters can't use their full screen tools. And you can't anti-air Deathbound because it's body when it hits the ground. It's not head attribute. 5A is incredibly strong. This is the 5A here. It's 5 frames. It is absolutely enormous. It's got good frame data on it. I'm not entirely sure why he gets it, but there we go. It is really good. It is really good. You're right, hero. This jump B is also incredibly strong. It has about the same reach as Labrys jump B in the air, but it is way faster. Really good on counter hit. It also has, what was I going to say? 16 frames of block stun, which is more than most jump Bs in the game. Most jump Bs and jump Cs in the game have 14 frames. This has 16 frames, which is absolutely crazy. It's normally only reserved for the really heavy hitting jump Bs. So even if you block it really high up, it's not your turn. He also gets to cancel into jump A if he wants. So yeah, really good jump B. That 5C also is, in my opinion, really crazy. It's like it got a really good dash cancel on it with that sort of combined with this 5 frame 5A. It lasts for absolutely forever. It hits really high up. But yeah, it is a really good 5C, and I think Junpei players have started to realize that and just sort of spam it. It's really hard to punish as well. You can get around it, but it's tricky. It is chest attribute as well, as it should be. And I think it might even whiff against crouches at certain ranges. Yeah, it's a really good 5C. This is Deathbound. I've talked about Deathbound. 2B, his 2B is really good as well. I think someone mentioned. Would I call it top 3? I'm not entirely sure. I wonder what I would do for a 2B tier list. I think Marie's 2B. Liz's 2B. Weirdly, both of NBM's characters are definitely top 2. I'm not sure who else I'd call for that one. But yeah, it's a good 2B from Junpei as well. Yeah, character is good. I think has the ability to be consistent, which is the main reason I put him here. Yeah, that's that. Here's Narukami. Narukami I've dropped a little bit. This is an interesting one. He's performed decently, mostly in the hands of Bunch. I think Bunch is an amazing character. Bunch isn't a character. I mean, he's such a character he may as well be. No, Bunch is an amazing player. I think one of the best that we have at the moment. And even he struggles at times with this character. Just because, yeah, he is the borderline for competitive, I'm pretty sure. He's unreal with some of the crazy stuff he pulls sometimes. But yeah, solid all-rounder, has a lot of tools, but is reliant on resources to do competitive damage. He doesn't really get much from natural hits without converting at least something, and that's a problem. He does, yeah, Bunch puts in crazy amounts of work. And honestly, if it wasn't for Bunch, I don't think Narukami would even be in this tier. Bunch is half the reason for this conversion being as high as it is. Really good stagger. He does. The issue is, so he has to interact and forced to approach. Now, this is a major weakness in this game. Basically, most matchups, in my opinion, are determined by who is forced to move in and take. Who is forced to move in and take risks. And in pretty much every matchup, that's Narukami, because he doesn't. If you leave him alone at range, what is he going to do to you? Like, he's just going to Zio you, maybe. He might Zio-Kai you, but that's really risky. He might run up, but he doesn't really have an amazing run. He doesn't have an amazing air to ground. He doesn't have an amazing air to air. Like, jump 2B is decent, but yeah, character's okay, but he in most matchups has to come to you, which is a big risk, and it's not something you want to be doing. Once he's in and once he's hitting you, yeah, fine, he's good. But before that, really, I don't rate him that highly. He is the one really having to play big brain, make big brain moves in order to get in and get a hit. So it's okay, but could be better, I guess, in my opinion. So for example, like if we take the Labrys matchup, for example, it's one of the few Labrys matchups where if the opponent gives you space, you are the one at advantage. He needs to move Narukami a couple of placements higher. Well, I'm not sure about that one, Luke. So tooling. So I think I explained a few times now, but we'll do it one more time. Tooling is the ability to deal with what the rest of the cast has, specifically looking at the higher end. So dealing with your Yukaris, dealing with the Shadow Narutos. Now, not only does Yukari has to move forward, but he doesn't really have any anti-zoning tools at all. Like, his main anti-zoning tool is Zio-Kai, which is decent. It goes under some things and can beat some zoning tools, but that is incredibly risky. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He has Ziodyne as well, but again, you're spending 50 meter for... Yeah, it's very, very expensive for what it is, so... Yeah, I probably should add the definition of tooling somewhere, but I didn't expect so many different people to be coming today. Yeah, Ziodyne OMC is a thing, but that's 100 SP, and it's even then, it's not amazing. Like, you've knocked them down once. Ah, you couldn't hear me. Ah, my bad. Maybe. I think we're okay. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, because he doesn't have any good anti-zoning tools, because he has to move towards most other characters, his tooling score is low. And that's one of the reasons he's lower in the competitive tier. He is still competitive. I think he is still possible to do well with him, but I don't think he is quite as good as some of the others in this tier. The secret final competitive character. Oh no. This is where I lose all credibility, except if you look at the results over the past year and you don't think this, I think you are blind. Like, he has performed well in pretty much every tournament that we've seen a strong player play him. So for example, at the last tournament, I think it was it that Bunch, which tournament where it was Bunch versus Werte in the finals? I mean, you can say Were carries, but like it was Frosty's. Okay, yeah. In Frosty's, like he performed decently, and in TNS and pretty much everywhere that we've seen him. When we saw the crew battle with Kanji versus Yosuke, like even with Greek playing, and Greek is one of the best Yosuke players I've ever seen, Kanji still cleaned house. Like it's crazy what this character can do, and I think this character does a lot. There are some weaknesses, there are some really bad matchups, which is why the tooling score is low. But yeah, this character just does so much. So grapplers traditionally have weaknesses, but Kanji doesn't have those weaknesses. Basically, he has this to cover for projectiles and provide threats at range. He also has this, which is amazing Oki, which grapplers tend not to have, and is also like a really good Oki tool for covering space, and is also an anti-zoning tool. The only range he seems weak is at mid-range, but did you know that this happened at this tier? This 5C is also absolutely crazy in the mid-range for what it's slow, but it's crazy. It got buffed and it has absolutely huge range. It's basically Labrys 5C range, but it also has really good confirms, unlike Labrys 5C, and it's really good on counter hit, and it has like a just frame that does really crazy things as well. That jump B, people complain about Labrys jump B, but here's the stats on this jump B. It is 16 frames when Labrys jump B is 15 frames. It has 16 frames of block stun when Labrys has 14. It actually is a bigger disjoint than Labrys' jump B in the forward direction. And you know, with his low movement, it's actually pretty strong. Yeah, it's a really good jump B. He also has a 7 frame repeatable jump A, which is crazy for a grappler. Like, why does he have that? It can't hit down, so kind of fair enough. It doesn't cause the same block string issues, but it's still good. This anti-air is body attribute with persona invuln, with an absolutely crazy range on it. This DP is absolutely broken in so many ways. Effectively having infinite range. If you tap it, he is fully invuln. Even if you cancel into other stuff until it's done. It has like 18 active frames. Like if you hit the last active frames, it's basically unpunishable. It's like -8. The DP is so good, it's used as offense. That is how crazy this DP is on this character. Like it also confirms on counter hit if you hit some of the edge frames of it. It just lasts forever. It just does everything. Like some characters can spam it with persona normals, but even then you have to wait for it to be finished. Yeah, it does have a funny interaction with Junpei. So Junpei is one of the unique characters that can deal with it because it's projectile, but most other characters can't. Yeah, walk up DP in the corner is absolutely silly. It beats safe jump, so he's immune to safe jumps, but he also has amazing other defensive tools. Like he has the command grabs are effectively parries, which are invuln from frame 3 or frame 1 from grabs. It's just really good. Marie can safe jump it? Maybe. Well, she can do weird stuff. Yeah, it's just really good. It is so good. He also has an anti-air command grab. He also has like multiple other things he can do on defense. He has a 6 frame 5A. I don't know why he has 6 frame 5A, but there we go. Which has decent frame data. I don't think the frame data on it's amazing, but he has decent decent cancels. Yeah, basically really good defense, and he also has this thing, which in Awakening does 4,300 damage, and I think always confirms. I'm not entirely sure. Some kanjis confirm from that super, some don't. I don't know what the conditions are, but yeah, it's a 0 frame after flash, 4.3k full corner carry into whatever you want. May as well be an IK at that point, yeah. It's an IK that's actually got ridiculously good frame data that you have to see coming. That it shouldn't exist. It absolutely shouldn't exist. And if it should exist, A, you shouldn't be able to combo from it, and B, it shouldn't do that much damage. I don't know why he dodged the reversal super nerf that happened to everyone. He does also have a decent IK, but that's not really important, to be honest. Yeah, it should be nerfed. It shouldn't. I'm okay with 0 after flash supers, but he doesn't need it. Yeah, it's good. Character's good. I think character's competitive. Not just because of all of this, but yeah, Primal Force is good. But yeah, IK isn't really important for most characters. Most of the time you can do more with the meter. Good IKs aren't that important. But yeah, Kanji is competitive in my opinion, and notably this is only a two position increase from the last tier list that I did. But yeah, I think he is competitive. I don't think he is necessarily an issue. I don't think he is as consistent, is the one thing I will say. But yeah, we're on page 37. There are there's basically one page per person from this point onwards. Labrys IK point reward. It's hard to even make the conditions for IK happen, but maybe. Anyway, yeah, all shadows are part of this list as well. So here is the list for those who haven't been here already. The shadows are the ones with the red backgrounds, normal versions of the blue backgrounds, and it does go from highest to lowest. So Margaret at the top, then through to Marie, then from Adachi through to Kanji. And that is the competitive tier. As you can see, there's lots of characters here, which is a good thing in terms of balance. But yeah, this is the tier list so far. What is it, Luke? I'm going to take an opportunity to drink. Normal Naoto that high. I think the potential for the character is high. I don't think she's been explored properly. And I think her neutral is still pretty good. I don't think people have fully understood her capabilities with one more burst. And yeah, the character is also kind of crazy in Awakening as well. I mean, you got to remember, she can do pretty much everything Shadow Naoko can do when she's in Frenzy. Except Ray does more damage. So, yeah. You'd put S.Aigis above normal Ken and normal Naoto and Marge. Interesting, interesting. It's possible. It is possible. And yeah, this is possibly Labrys bias creeping in here because, you know, Labrys actually has an okay-ish time against S.Aigis. So, yeah, maybe it's bias, maybe it's not. But anyway, I think I've explained my reasons decently well enough. Okay, so now we're moving on to characters where I think you can do okay with, but you generally don't have a reason to play these characters. Here's normal Yosuke. I think normal Yosuke has gained a lot in the last year. We have seen an improvement in the poison roots that he has from SB Kunai. So I think that's bumped his damage up a lot. He did have a big damage problem. I don't think he does anymore because of those roots. He does still have to roll the dice a lot, just given the lower damage and the lack of frenzy. I do wonder how much he can be pushed with one more burst. I'm not entirely sure we've seen normal Yosuke's use one more burst that effectively, but we'll have to see. I think his neutral's still great, but the neutral is less threatening when a single hit won't kill you. But yeah, I think he's good. I think he is good. But again, why would you play normal when Shadow exists? Yeah, there's 25 SP meter roots I think have saved him from being lower than this. And yeah, he still has good neutral, he still has good pressure, so why not? But not much more to be said than that, honestly. Play Shadow if you're gonna. I think Greek still plays normal, and I think Greek still has a really good time against me, but that's possibly because of Labrys. And I think the character's workable, but I'd be interested to see Greek come back and what they can do with the new roots, because I don't think they did. I think they were basically playing a 1.1 Yosuke the last time I saw them. But yeah, we'll see. I think they're busy playing Blaze Pit at the moment, but we'd always welcome them back. Here is the normal Junpei. So again, I think good, solid, and in Victory Cry is excellent. That average damage is kind of crazy. But he does take 2 or 3 hits to get to Victory Cry, and that isn't guaranteed. Yes, +6. So that's mostly, I think, because of the labbing that has occurred on the character. He has jumped up a lot in my estimations. Just because I've seen some people play him a lot better than I'm used to. Pretty much previously, I've not seen many people play normal Junpei. It was basically just Big Pat. And I think the work that Nezo has done, and some of the other Junpeis as well, has improved him a lot. The fatal confirms from full screen are now new. They've improved the routes to get to Victory Cry better. There's some better mix that they've come up with. I think the character's good. But again, slightly outclassed by some of the other cast. His damage is also good, but it's not fully unburstable. And it is dealt a little bit slower, and this matters because it can be bursted. And a lot of the damage... yeah, when you're doing damage slowly, you're more likely to get bursted, which Shadow doesn't have a problem with. So, yeah. He is good, and he is much better than I thought he was, but yeah, not quite as strong. Cross up, jump 236C. You're going to have to remind me what that one is. Is that one of the dives? But yeah, the dives are pretty good. I think there's definitely an argument for some people playing normal. Yeah, it's a slide. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. I think some characters can just DP it, which makes it not as good, but yeah, character's good. You never see him? Well, I think you should play Nezo. Nezo does play normal, right? I'm not hallucinating. Someone please confirm. I'm pretty sure Nezo plays normal. Yes, he does. Okay, good. But yeah, play Nezo. He'll give you a good rundown of the strength of normal. I think Shadow probably is stronger in the long term, but people play who they want to play, and I respect that. Here's Shadow Narukami. Basically, yeah, slightly less consistent Narukami. I don't think Shadow really helps him as much as it should for the downsides of being a Shadow. Basically, just it's not quite enough. He can do some cool Shadow routes, but they look cooler than they actually are. And if you've seen Bonchi's One More Burst, it is most of the time not as effective, in my opinion. Yeah, basically just not as cool as normal, which if you're a Shadow character, the whole point is that you're supposed to be cool and does stuff, but no, he just doesn't. I don't think we've seen that many of them, but yeah, I just don't. The one thing he does do is the Raging Lion into kill. There is Argo, yeah, true, and Argo does some cool stuff, but I don't think there's enough reason to play Shadow for the downsides. Like I said, it's pretty much just the instant the cancels from the highs and the lows, but those are risks, and you kind of have to do them knowing that you're going to hit, and that isn't always guaranteed. So, character's okay. Character's okay. Here's Rise. Rise, I'm keeping an eye on. I had her quite high before because, probably because I personally had problems with Rise because I think she's really good against Labrys. But I think the -5 basically comes from, well, you say Jolteo, Diff. It wasn't Jolteo. The last time I played Jolteo, I didn't lose a single match for like, I think I went 15-0. But that might just be Jolteo not being used to the matchup. It was J-turns that I had trouble with. Yeah, J-turns is pretty good with Rise. I've not seen J-turns much recently, but if you give her some time, she can win neutral. Not against all characters. Anyone who can send a projectile out basically nullifies her game plan, which is a problem, and one of the reasons why she's so low. This isn't all matchups. RJ10's been focusing on Yukiko. Interesting. I'd be interested to see how that goes. They are a very good zoner player in my opinion. But yeah, I think the set play is really good as well. She has like the double overhead from jump B into jump 2B or something like that. Did you miss Yukiko? No, normal Yukiko is yet to come. Shadow Yukiko, yes. But yeah, she just takes a little bit too long to kill from her hits. Her damage has improved over time, but it's still not amazing. Requires meter or good hits to really do high damage. I'm not entirely sure how far she gets with OMB, but yeah. I guess Rise so lopsided, yeah. I imagine you mean in Aigis' favour, right? Because Aigis can just sort of destroy everything she puts out. Just tag everything she even tries to set up. But yeah, I think she basically, yeah. It's her ability to set up that really defines her ability to play the game, and she can't set up against the high tiers, so that's why the tooling score is so low. Conversion probably I could bump up a few points, but I don't rate it that high. Her defense, so her DP is decent, but it's very risky. It is on whiff, or well, on incorrect read. It's not great. It doesn't hit behind her. It doesn't really hit that far above her. It's a thing. And her reversal supers aren't great either. I mean, she does get the cancel into the revolving orbs, but yeah, it does have to hit. Give Reset air DP. I'm not sure that would help. I mean, I guess it would, but nah, I don't think that's the fix. I'm not entirely sure what the fix would be. I don't think she's necessarily bad enough that she needs fixing. I think it's okay for there to be weaker characters, and there are matchups where she does well, so I don't think she's necessarily awful. You can DP her DP if you're crazy, it's true. Well, the problem with the DP is that it auto-fires eventually, but it's what it is. But yeah, I think character's okay. I'm not entirely sure why she was so high before, but yeah, I think I have seen you do it, KG. But yeah, the question is, would you do that in a tournament? Character's okay. Could be better. Here's Shadow Kanji. I think you don't need to play a less consistent version of Kanji if you're going to play an already inconsistent character. And the lower damage does matter. Always having command grab super but it doing less damage, I feel like it's a downside if anything. It does do mental damage, always having to worry about it, but and not having an awakening. Awakening is absolutely crazy for Kanji. Full awakening health Kanji is the equivalent of a Shadow Labrys at like 70% health. That's how much health a full awakening Kanji has. So not having that, yeah. You're gonna win the mental battle, yeah. But anyway, basically I don't know why you do this. He has some decent frenzy routes, but not enough to justify, because normal Kanji's one more burst routes are absolutely crazy, and mostly unburstable anyway. So why play frenzy? There's pretty much no reason. And for that reason, he is just slightly weaker, in my opinion. Not much more to be said about that. And that's the end of that tier. Slightly smaller tier because I don't think there's that many characters that fit the description. Alright, good luck on your Grand Blue. Grand Blue grind, KG. But anyway. Can be made to work tier. Can someone just confirm that the background music is working, by the way? I'm paranoid that I set all of this up and it's not working. Results tier list? It is perfect. Okay, nice. What do you mean by results tier list then? It's a little loud? Okay. I will put it down. There we go. Should be a little bit quieter now. It's making you want to pull. Ah yes, this is the pull music. Anyway, Here is normal show. I have been playing a person who has picked up normal show, and I think this character's okay. This character has a lot of tools, including no, not Thun. Although when I did play Thun, I was impressed by how good Thun was with show. It was Aaron. It was Aaron, who is a plus R vet, apparently. But yeah, this character has a lot. The jump B is really good. His normals are really good. He does have a frame 1 effective parry, which is strong against some characters. Yeah, the stretcher, and I think, who's the Japanese player? Takeyabu, I think. I saw someone play Takeyabu, who also plays show. Yeah, character's good. Potential with a... Yeah, he basically has a 25 SP instant overhead that full confirms. Yeah, the 25 SP reversal effectively is good. Character has a lot of interesting tools. But not on the level of the other characters in the game, in my opinion. And he does have to take risks and spend resources to get kills. You, in general, can burst him out of a lot of his damage as well. Yeah, he basically isn't standout. I think he's solid. He does also have lowish health. I think the last time I saw Takeyabu, they were on show. I'm not sure if they play both. Mainly. Okay, interesting. I've only really seen them play show. But yeah, I think character does a lot of stuff. But again, his zoning's okay. The knives are good, but they aren't amazing. Decent knockdown, yeah, this is true. Decent damage as well. Like normally high 2k, low 3k on most hits. But yeah, I think the problem is that he doesn't have positive matchups against most of the cast. Aki and Labrys, yeah, I agree, probably. Yeah, basically there's not enough. He's okay, but there's just not enough. Yeah, 3k from the right starters, I think is about correct, yeah. He's interesting, yeah, he definitely looks really interesting, and his movement is good. He has some really nice anti-air stuff, and teleports are good. His mix is good. Yeah, it looks like we might have a new show player in the chat as well. But yeah, his buttons are good. He can do some cool stuff. But yeah, just not enough presence in the full screen, and I think a lot of the mix comes from within, if that makes sense. It's very raw, if I had to say anything. Like, he does have base to teleport behind you and do invisible stuff, but that's vulnerable to mash and vulnerable to reversal, so it's scary, I think. It's solid though, it's solid. The stretcher, yeah. What are the next tourneys? I'd be interested to see. I don't know when the next PFC is. I need to check that. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about show, to be honest. His DP is good, his air DP is good. Having an air DP is crazy. But yeah. Is there any EU thing coming? Interesting. I'd have to look that up. Here's normal Chie. Normal Chie is like Shadow Chie, but she actually has to play the game. Yeah, it's what it is. Oh, it's show DP is overhead. Yeah, fair enough. But I don't really think you want to be using that as a way to open people up. Shadow Chie, but fun. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? Like, you actually get to play the game. But yeah, it's not what you want to see from a character, to be honest. Yeah, she doesn't do anything interesting enough. Chie, but you actually have to root, exactly. So yeah, her defense isn't great. She basically has no answers to the top tiers. Her conversion's okay. She does have the good pressure, but again, unless she can blunder you, which some Chies are good at doing the blunder set play, but that only really works against characters with bad reversals. For example, like Labrys. Although even though Labrys has a good time because of the neutral. But yeah, if you get knocked down by Chie, you're having a bad time as Labrys, but that doesn't happen too often. So that's what it is. Yeah, just doesn't really have the neutral threat. Not for the damage that she deals from those hits that she does get in neutral. Worse auto combo than Shadow? Interesting. I don't even know. I don't even think about that sort of thing. But yeah, you're probably right. But yeah, character's okay once she's in on you, but how does she accomplish that is the question. I just don't see the real way for her to win consistently at the high level game. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. Here is Teddie. Teddie has dropped a few spots, interestingly, after I have played Joey. Character has a lot of history, definitely used to be strong, but the main issue is the nerfs hit him really hard. You basically get to interact with him now, and that's kind of a problem. The way you win in this game is not letting your opponent play the game. And unfortunately, you can't, now that you can destroy items, you get to play the game a little bit. There are a couple where you still can't. Joey makes him work. And yeah, that's the thing. Joey gaps so hard, but the character takes a lot of work and you have to make some really good reads. And half the time you're fighting your own character. Like when I was fighting Joey in my set, half the time he was screwed over by Teddie himself. Like there was one point where he did sweep into OMB and then the fish broke his OMB combo. Like you have to play around your own character's mechanics and the items. So like unlike Marie items where you just sort of combo into them and they don't even do anything, like Teddie's items can destroy his own combos. Yeah, Joey and Table are the main ones. Characters are gimmicky, he mixes himself. That's the thing, like you're fighting your own character and that's a problem when it comes to characters. Like it's hard enough fighting your opponent. His spread is horrid, yeah. I don't think he has amazing tools against zoners. Like he has SBTV, but that costs meter, and even that isn't crazy. The instant air dash, so that is his main mix-up, and his mix-up isn't awful, but it's a left-right only. He doesn't have high, so it isn't as scary. And if you see him starting to jump over you, half the time you can just roll out. His stray hits are good, and some of the items are still amazing. Buckets are still broken. Oil drum is still broken. SBTV is still an amazing move. 5B is still really good. But yeah, it's just, there's so much to keep track of that I don't think it's worth playing this character unless you really love him, like Joey, which I respect Joey a lot. But yeah, it's just hard, I think. His damage is good, but only in the corner, really, or with lots of meter. In the mid-screen, he kind of struggles. He has to push you to the corner first. Decent Persona buttons, this is true. They're kind of slow. The jump C is good, but it's slow. The jump 2C is okay. It's a nice fatal starter. So it's a 2C. I think that's pretty much the same button. He has a decent DP as well on him. Like he has a lot of decent tools, but nothing to really outweigh how clunky he tends to be. And the fact that you now get to destroy items just by attacking into them. And sometimes the items work against him. Like if you manage to hit the food back into him, he's now in trouble. Sometimes he can make himself raged, which is a problem. 2-2 AB. Oh, yeah, 2D Teddie is pretty funny. Yeah. Fair enough. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Teddie. I think the character's just about on the cusp of being able to take tournaments with him. As we've seen with Joey, like Joey does a great job, but I don't think Joey has really had to face... He's faced Karma a few times, but I don't think he's had to face... Who am I looking for? Who's the Yukari? Flood. He hasn't faced Flood that much, and from what I do know from when he faces Flood, it's pretty dire. So Joey is really strong there. But yeah, I don't think this character can compete at the real top, which is unfortunate. Like it's possible with a strong enough person, but yeah. Character's okay. I think there's a few other good characters as well. Offline matters most. Yeah, I mean that's true. It's true. And I'm not sure if you've seen Flood offline ever, but I think from what I know of them, they have the potential to be really, really strong. And I think Joey did fight in one of the JP tournaments, right? And also managed to get beat by Yukari. That was a while ago, but I don't know if that was last year even. Yeah, Migaki, that was it, at EVO Japan. Yeah, you guys have good memories. But yeah, he also lost. But anyway. Character has a few interesting tools as well. Really good 2B, although can be crossed up. Decent normals, like a 5A that's comparable to Labrys 5A. But yeah, just... yeah. Flood too busy. It's unfortunate. It's kind of crazy they just came out of nowhere and, like, in the first PFC, went from, like, an 18 seed to win. Says something about Yukari, but also says something about them. I'm not sure if it was the most recent EVO Japan, but it definitely was a EVO Japan. P4 normally comes up as a side tournament. It wasn't a main tournament, I don't think. But yeah, that's Teddie. Here's normal Yukiko. Yeah, paper cut generates. She's very good at throwing fans at you. She's not as good at killing you. She can get there eventually. It just happens slightly too slowly for her for the amount of damage she does and for the relative strength of her neutral. Sven, yeah, Sven is probably the main representation of this character, and they're okay, but yeah, it's what it is. Why do I have a link? Why are you posting links in the chat, Thun? Oh, the bracket. Okay, nice. I'm surprised bot allowed you to post a link. Well, it's okay, we trust you. Anyway, yeah, I don't think there's much to say about normal Yukiko. We don't really see her for good reason. Why would you do this to yourself, effectively? Shadow Rise. Yeah, same deal with Rise. I don't really rate the character, and nobody has labbed her, and I don't think even if they did, they would find anything. So basically, all the downsides without the upsides. That's pretty much it. Yeah, why would you do this? Mistake. Here's Shadow Teddie as well. We have no idea what Shadow Teddie is. He's so mysterious, I forgot to change the font color. But yeah, this is my best guess based on the shadow mechanics. Maybe he has something, maybe he doesn't. It's possible he can spam specials. I don't know. Where is either Labrys? Good question. I think you figured out where they are now. Are there any Shadow Teddies? I think somebody vowed to make Shadow Teddie work. I can't remember who it was. It was one of the Liz players, I think. But anyway, yeah. We don't know. Add S.Teddie to every tier. Yeah, I guess you'd be right. Well, you'd be right 1/5 of the time, at the very least. But yeah, that's the end of the tier. I think those characters, you don't really want to be playing them if you want to win a tournament, but yeah, you might win if you're Joey. I'm not sure. Or maybe if you're Poop Balls. We'll see. Or the Stretcher. I can't remember what they go by these days. And we get to the final tier. Oh no, it's the other hot take. Except I wonder if it is. So Labrys definitely, Poop Balls couldn't do it. What a shame. That Labrys. I play Labrys. Labrys is a character that has some tools that aren't very good. They were very afraid of Labrys being good, and I understand why. It would be very fun to fight a top tier Labrys, I think. The frame data just isn't there on what she has. So I don't think she has a mid-range outside of jump B, and that's a problem in a lot of matchups because that is your main threat. And if your main threat has a universal answer, what is your character doing? Because most of the time, she is a character that has to approach your opponent. Not only because her main range threat is Orb, and Orb has a very quick answer from most characters of just running up and hitting Ariadne, and now you have a cancel, and the Orb is gone. Because it has 90 frames of startup, mind you, the D Orb, and the C Orb has like 50 frames of startup, which is really high for a projectile. Most people can just run up and hit her on reaction, or just send out a projectile to destroy if it's strike, or send a persona out to destroy it. Also missing a lot of other tools, missing good mash. Fastest button is 7 frames, which is slower than most of the cast. Basically no defense. The slowest DP in the game by far, 26 frames. So slow that you can meaty grab Labrys and block, and she can't DP you for that. Missing a mid-range, like I said, it's just jump B, and even that isn't really good mid-range, it's air to ground. No zoning outside of orb, which I mentioned isn't great, for the most part won't work in most matchups. No anti-zoning tools she has to run towards, pretty much. The snowball mechanic doesn't actually help you kill people, it just, if you open people up, you can then kill people. How would I have changed Chain Knuckle to help her against zoning? Well, A, it should be faster. B, it needs to hit higher up. C, it needs to do better on block or hitting a persona. Half the time now, if your opponent throws out a persona move or a projectile, it just clashes and then you have the full recovery of it. It's just slow, it doesn't hit full screen. Most of the versions don't have projectile invuln, and the version that does is projectile invuln from frame 9 for some reason. Why frame 9? I don't understand. Even frame 1 would be fine, but no, it's actually too slow even for that. Yeah, piercing personas I think would be a cool buff to it, but yeah, we'd see. Because yeah, half the time these days it just hits a persona and then clashes with the persona attack because the persona is invuln, so it can't hit it. But there we go. Hello again, Alias. Good to see you. Yeah, she does convert decently with meter and or momentum. One of the better OMB users in the game. She is mostly held back by the proration system, but using OMB kind of mitigates that, and then she gets into one of her better starters with 5D. She has gained a fuzzy since last year, so the pressure has increased. Thank you for the follow, Yasuo fan. I wonder which game you play. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, heavily reliant on the fuzzy. You found that fuzzy. Did you really? Who are you, Yasuo fan? But yeah, the fuzzy is a cool thing. Congratulations if you did. Yeah, it's a cool thing. It only works on some of the cast, mind you. But it is big when it works. Alright then. But yeah, it's just a character with... Like, if you compare her to Junpei, is the main way of looking at it. Her upside takes about as long to reach. But it has like only one of the upsides, which is better confirms. Yeah, most of her mix-up is gimmicks. Having to run up and hop over someone is absolutely insane in terms of risk. And it also loses to mash. Because if they're stood up, it doesn't actually go over them, and then you're doing a really slow hop into someone's face. But yeah, oh well, thank you for the fuzzy, Yasuo fan, it seems. It is slightly situational, the fuzzy as well, but it can work. It can work. But yeah, the mix is just kind of gimmicks. Yeah, so like I said, going back to comparing to Junpei, the neutral game is about as similar, except she doesn't have the anti-zoning tools, or the zoning tools, or any of the sort of persona pressure, or the mix. Upside takes 2 to 3 hits like it does for Junpei, but it goes away if you use it, or if you get hit once. It doesn't give you health or gain you SP or HP. Victory cry, but worse in every way, and you lose it. So yeah, that's kind of the idea behind this character. And just no real mix, no real mash, no meal, stagger, just missing everything. So character can do stuff. Like I enjoy playing the character, but I think to call her mid-tier is interesting, because in terms of positive matchups, I struggle to think of one. Like Akihiko is probably the one. And even that's probably a 5.5, 4.5 at a stretch, in my honest opinion. Like, I had a long set with Domo, and we went even, and I think Domo is an excellent player. Maybe slightly better than me. Domo is one of the legacy and best Akihiko players, I think. Although we were both both a little bit rusty at the time when we played, but yeah, really. Sorry, did I say Domo? I meant Domi. No, not Domi. It was Domo. It was Domo. Check the set on my channel if you're not sure who they are. But yeah, really good set. Really good 2B. But I suppose we should move on by moving on to Akihiko, because here he is. He's a character with really good damage confirms and conversions from the right hits. But just kind of has to work really hard to get those hits. I don't know what he really does in neutral that's actually scary. He has some anti-air stuff with Jump C, but that's not good. How did he go up to? So Shadow Labrys went down, and I moved him above Shadow Aki. So those are the two. Yeah, that's the reason he moved up. I think the thing is, like, I've seen more of what he can do with one more burst and from normal hits. So I think he's gone above Shadow. I don't think he needs Shadow, and he already has high health. So yeah, I've moved him up a little bit. But yeah, decent mix, but relatively weak to reversals. Good conversion, but just kind of suffers everywhere else. I don't know why. They sort of, yeah, it's just not a character that's built well for this game, unfortunately. He does have some interesting stuff. He does have a low jump, which leads to some really interesting mix-ups. He does have some, well, corkscrew. He has corkscrew. That's his main bulk of his anti-projectile and full screen tools. But it is a decent full screen tool. It is full invuln into a fatal. Aki's only even matchup is himself, quite possibly. I feel like maybe Labrys at like the real top level, maybe theoretically, but I'm probably kidding myself with that one. Anyway, yeah, character bad. I didn't even know what to put here. Like, I put the character's best moves on the slides and just like, maybe I could put 2A here. Like, his 2A is decent, his 5A is decent. Maziodyne can be okay, but yeah, it's what it is. John Punch and John Punch harder. Have I seen the latest Akihiko visit? I did watch that video. Was that by Daz? Ah, interesting. Yeah, I did watch that video on like what it means to play characters and like meeting a character's fantasy. And it was interesting. I think some of his technical analysis was slightly incorrect, but yeah, I think I agreed with most of it. So it was a really good video. If anyone hasn't watched it, if you watch enough Persona content, you'll get recommended it eventually. Maybe I'll post it in lab chat after this. But yeah, that's what it is. It was a good video. It was a good video. Yeah, he does look really cool and has a nice design, but it just doesn't work in practice. Fun combos, but mid everything else. Yeah, I think that's in a game where everyone does something crazy. I mean, he does do something crazy. He has really good combos, but the neutral just isn't quite there to enable you to do it enough. How good would he be if his tornado mechanic actually worked? What's broken about it? I guess is the question. What would you fix it with? Because he already does combos with it. The question is, like, how are you going to fix it? Like, maybe make it take some time before it resets back to 0 if he does stuff in neutral? I don't know. And here's Shadow. Not much to say here, just loses some consistency. Make his dashes charge it? Interesting, interesting. Yeah, that could work, that could work. But yeah, Shadow Akihiko does some good combos, but and stuff being unburstable and having Mizziodine is nice, but I don't think the loss of average damage is good enough for him. Yeah, really good on paper, and personally for Labrys, I think he is the harder matchup. But yeah, I think for the most part, you wouldn't want to be playing him if you're going to be playing an Akihiko. And from talking to Akihiko players, they tend to play normal anyway. So yeah, that's Akihiko, and we come to the last one in the list. It is Stab. Stab is bottom one. Stab is bottom one for a lot of reasons, because it's their bias. Everyone who has tried Stab has suffered and lost to players way weaker than them. Literally everyone. We've had, well, apart from Pure, but that was in like the Wild West era of 2.0, and they also just skill gapped. And I watched the gameplay. They didn't use Frenzy properly. They are just an amazing player. But yeah, the Frenzy doesn't work. All of the downsides like hurt her really hard. All of the upsides don't make any sense for her because all of her supers don't work properly with it, nor does Peroration. Uses access to multiple of the system mechanics. Worse auto combo, much more inconsistent damage. It's yeah, designed to absolutely. It's like the opposite of designed to work with Frenzy. I could let you talk about it, KG, but you can make it work with the supers after the Peroration break. Well, put in the calculator. I mean, yeah. Well, you say Sayori does well, but I don't think they've won anything outside of a beginner tournament with the character. And they don't really play her that much. And like I said, S.Teddie, Satodate-san, tried her, didn't work. Namacho, tried her, didn't work. KG, tried her really hard, didn't work. Yeah, character just sucks. Character sucks in every way. The reason she is even below S.Akihiko is because S.Akihiko does actually work. Character does stuff. This character doesn't do stuff. This character can't pressure. You cannot do anything outside of 5 AA. Yeah, winning a bracket with any of these characters isn't doable. We're going to pause to let the ad run. Just because we're at the end and we're going to have some closing remarks. But yeah, the long and short of it is characters awful, and also yeah, not as cute. Yeah, all of these characters I wouldn't trust to take to a tournament if a high tier is present. As Labrys, you've got to hope that someone has taken out the S.Yukari player. Unless you're KG and you're awesome and you can beat Ryuzuzu consistently somehow. He has, I mean, KG, I would say, has better neutral than me at this point. And he knows how to make Labrys scary and neutral, but even he can't win with this character. You mash batter, maybe. But yeah, this character just sucks so bad. Yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, ad should finish soon, so we'll get back into it. All right, the ads should be over. Are you alive, Mudkip? Got M10. What do you want to be called? Anyway. Yeah, it's just... all of Labrys Peroration is built around doing your damage in the combo and not being able to spam meter. Only 3 hours late. You are on the literal last character, Silkmoth, unfortunately, but the VoD should hopefully survive. Anyway, that's it. Hopefully we have everyone back, and we'll have a look over this list. Everyone is free to make their comments if you'd like, and I'll try and respond to them. I think overall I've given my opinions pretty well. I'm not entirely sure there's any major arguments that At least from the results, that I'm wrong. I think, Thun, if you're still here, you were talking about a results list. I'd be interested to hear what you'd be saying about that. Yeah, any closing remarks from anyone? Any comments? And like I said, overall, I think this game is relatively well balanced compared with Grand Blue. In my opinion, Grand Blue has characters you can play, like, half the characters would be the equivalent of here. Because the top tiers are so broken. They fixed some of them in 2.0, but even so, there are some characters, there are just haves and have-nots in that game. And it's so arbitrary. In this game, it feels like there was a decent balance. In my opinion, our tier list just mashups from every character's matchup charts. I mean, I tried to take that into account, but it's arbitrary in the end of the day. Like, I've explained what I feel about characters, and why I think they belong in certain tiers and what the tiers mean, which makes mine slightly less arbitrary, but I think I'm pretty biased based on how players are doing. Well, I mean, answer me this, like, this game is about players playing the game. You can't really figure out how, in like an optimal game, anyone will do things, because what does that even mean? It is played by players. We can only base it on what we've seen and what people do, and people at the top of the game. Like, maybe there's some crazy undiscovered stuff on half these characters that would make them stronger, but you have to base it on what people actually do. We're saying it based on potential. I mean, yeah, potential based on what we know, like the known potential. Like, I have seen enough from Naoto and Naoto players to think that it's possible. But for example, I haven't seen enough from a Chie or a Teddie to think that they belong higher. Like, I've played IDG a lot, to the point where I had a pretty decent win rate against them, but the stuff I was getting hit by felt crazy to me. A lot of characters in competitive don't do well against other characters in there. I mean, fair enough. I mean, some of the spread isn't perfect, and I'm not entirely sure every character has to do well against every character in there. It's just a general competitiveness. It's more of a, I think this character can do decent in tournament a decent amount of the time. And that's enough to be good to be put in competitive. Like, for example, like Kanji probably has an absolutely terrible matchup against Margaret. I admit that, but there's not enough Margarets for that to matter for the most part. And even so, even in like an ideal match where they happen to fight each other, like, that's only one match. Someone else might take out the Margaret. Glad you're enjoying the music, by the way. Kanji players will still randomly appear twice in top 8. Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of the thing with grapplers. Like, traditionally, they're just like bracket ruiners. They appear, they might kill you due to RPS, and then they disappear because they're bad. Except with Kanji, the bad players might kill you because of RPS, but then the good players kill you anyway because the character's good. And that sucks, and I hate it. Because they get to use RPS and they get to kill you with good stuff. So that's why I don't really like fighting Kanji. Are there any real matchup checks in this game? Depends what you mean by matchup checks. Like, knowledge checks are important. Like, this game is very knowledge based, which is why I like it. I think you have to know the game to play it well. Like, one of the reasons I went positive against Joey recently is because Joey didn't know the Labrys matchup. Like, I am nowhere near as good as Joey, but I can beat him because he didn't know what he was fighting. And that was pretty much it. Like, offline, once he's learnt the matchup, I am done for. But on that day, I managed to beat him. Nobody who plays offline plays top tiers. It's a good point. I don't think we've seen. We haven't seen Flood. We haven't seen Sidex. We haven't seen Karma. We haven't seen Axis in a while. Yeah, I guess so. VoD in person would probably still beat everyone. It is likely true. We haven't seen them, but I get the feeling they would. Yeah, sorry, M3. What did you mean by matchup checks? There's definitely a couple of unwinnable ones here and there. For example, I think Labrys Yukari, played properly by the Yukari, is like 8-2 or worse. I know people hate saying stuff's worse than 7-3, but there is literally nothing you can do there. It is just unwinnable. But yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with this list. It evolves as I play the game. Like, if I play a set against someone, I will usually look at this list and have a think about what I just faced, which I suppose helps people figure out exactly how things are. Like, I did go through the data for my list before doing this as well. Most characters are roughly in line with their total scores, I will say. I will release the data as part of the VoD, as I always do. Kanji is viable when you don't have Margliz in the bracket. This is probably true as well. I have not seen it happen. And I'm not entirely sure what would happen. I do wonder. Because, like, traditionally, like... Hey, Nacho. Good to see you. Traditionally, like, everything that Kanji should be weak to is in Yosuke, right? But he managed to dominate that crew battle, and I think it's because I don't think his weaknesses are what people think they are, and I do wonder. Quick rematch would be really nice. If that was a community mod that we could encourage people to do, that would be great. Uete, yeah. Uete is a very good player. But anyway. Yeah, alright. Okay, I think we've had most of the comments that we need to have. So, final notes. The data can be found there. You don't have the slides, but I will give the slides and the data sheet in the VoD, which should hopefully survive. I'm pretty sure the Blue Archive music tends to be allowed by YouTube. Please, Blue Archive gods, next one, look kindly upon me. I felt like including Blue Archive music just because it's nice and to introduce people to it. I even made a little video widget in the top there. Hope you like that as well. But anyway, that's like a full rendered video actually. It's not actually a music player. Yeah, as I mentioned, in general, if you total the scores of everything, of all of the attributes, the list order is roughly the same as the order of the actual list. Oh, interesting, Nacho. Wait, who are you? Do I know you by another name, Nacho? Are you Bonch? I should know who you are. Tell me. But yeah, data based on both me playing and watching Persona. Mid-level Marg, interesting. Things always change over time. This, as you saw, this list has changed quite a bit. So things change, meta changes, people discover stuff. We'll never know what happens next, but yeah, we'll see. Do not take any of this list personally. Player skill and character skill are pretty independent. You get good players playing bad characters and bad players playing good characters. In the end of the day, we're all trying to have fun. So just have fun with it. Play whoever keeps you playing the game. That's the important stuff. In the end of the day, it's who's around. It's one of the reasons that some of the bottom tiers can do well because they stuck with the game, they labbed it, they pushed their character to the limit, and they won. And that's how you win. Don't feel disheartened, even if you're not playing someone in the top tiers. Yeah, keep going with it. Your mix is so nice. Good job, Yoshi. Anyway, yeah, just do your best to improve, help others, don't hide any tech. The best way to improve is for everyone to learn from each other and to improve faster. Yeah, that is it, I think. Yep, no more slides. That's the end of it. All right, we have gone for 3 hours. I didn't want it to run for 3 hours, but it did. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. What did I ignore, KG? Sorry, I was reading through the last slide. What am I ignoring? I will give you attention. Thank you very much for the follow, Sphero. Much appreciated. We do have some sub goals, which are, well, and thanks Nacho as well. So the sub goals also double as follow goals as well. I think the next sub goal, let me just get my sheet out. Thanks for a dime as well. And where is it? My next sub goal is at 15, where I do a waifu tier list. But it also doubles with follows if I get 10 times the amount of follows. So 150 follows or 15 subs, I'll do a waifu tier list. At 20, there'll be Fortnite with the Zoomers. I'll actually play Fortnite. I've resisted for many years, but maybe it'll happen one day. Fortnite stream tomorrow. Maybe I'll do one for KG's birthday. We'll see. Karaoke stream at 25 or 250 followers. But I'm a Persona streamer. Persona is a small game. Those are just if something weird happens. Maybe I stream more Granblue. Weirdly, Granblue has a lot of viewers. Whenever I stream Granblue, people appear out of the woodwork. Maybe I have to play more modern games. Maybe I play Street Fighter. I wonder if I'd be any good at Street Fighter. Has anyone here played Street Fighter as a Persona player? What do you think of it? But I think that gets a lot of views. Street Fighter's so much fun. Interesting. I don't even know who I'd play in Street Fighter. Very different, yeah. Yeah, no worries, Hero. I'm glad people came for it and enjoyed it. Hopefully the VoD survives, and I will upload it to YouTube and put timestamps on everything. It's been a little bit off the cuff. I've not been keeping to the character strictly, but yeah. Shoto characters being strong, yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's the same for Granblue, honestly. It's a lot about running set play and footsies and just being good Shoto. But yeah, if that's it, I will call it there. So I could do Blue Archive dailies, but it's a bit late. We've been going for a long time, so thank you everyone for coming. I will catch you all in the server. And yeah, as always, feel free to reach out to me if you want to talk about anything I discussed today. I'm always in the server. I'm always happy to talk. Mostly in Labrys chat. I tend to stay out of P4U discussion because of the general chat there, and I am, in general, not looked upon favorably. So yeah, catch me if you want. Feel free to reach out. Thank you all for coming. See you. Goodbye. KG, why did you do this? You gave a sub to a random person. But congratulations, Crispy Hanako, I guess. Okay, goodbye. Thank you.